Yes. Well, greetings. We're roping regular routine. Everything to the supreme. Please and people who should have don't know what we mean. I'll soon be joined by Miss Arlette. She's gonna be doing that hard hitting thing, you know what I mean? We're gonna be discussing some domestic violence issues with Miss Jacqueline. In the interim, I want you to know that my tech at the moment is moving on to bigger and better things. So yeah, my musical tech is moving on to bigger and better things. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's my man. I appreciate him. So I be here at the controls by myself for a minute until we turn over to Miss Arlette, okay? So let's see what's really going on. Well, Milan, Buddy Brown, you see the flyer there at the moment. Buddy Brown, I think this is at Arlington. Um, what date is it? Well, y'all can see the date. Oh, June 4th. Yeah, June 4th, Arlington. Lover Boy will be in the building. Couple of DJs, all for a good cause. So make sure you check in. You see what I mean? Smokey said I ain't send him the. I send him the. I send you the link in a minute, Smoke. No, it's nothing. I got your brother. Yeah. Okay, what else is going on? We also have, it's still lupus month. So, Miss Olive will explain more about that to you than me. She's coming on in a few minutes. I'll keep you informed on and keep you abreast of what's happening. Stay tuned after Miss Olive's show to the G Mike show, and then of course the musical explosion with me and my sis. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the host of the AG Hour. How are you, my
Good
dear?
afternoon. I am good. I am good. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hello. I'm hearing my mic. I'm not hearing you on your mic.
You're not hearing me?
Yeah, I'm not hearing your mic.
Can we try this again then?
That's just me. Let me see. I think so. Okay,
I
I
have
got you. I
my
got you. I
mic
got you. My
on.
bad. I got you. It's nice. Yeah, it's beautiful. How are you today? Yeah, put it back on. Yes, it's on. It's
Are you
on. Go
hearing
ahead.
me?
That was on my end. That was on my end. I could hear you now, Arlette.
All right, good.
All right, good.
That's
How are
good.
you today?
Yes, yes. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm blessed. Thanks. Yeah, everything all right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you ready? You ready
Yes, yes. Looking
to
forward to an
introduce your
exciting
guest?
show.
Yes, of course, as
Yes,
usual.
yes. Is she
Who
there
you?
already?
Yes, she's here. You want to bring her on? She's
Yes.
ready.
Yes. So
She's ready. She's
today we will be
ready. She's
speaking with Jacqueline Burns. Hi, Jackie.
Hi,
Welcome.
hi. Thank you.
Hi. We'll be speaking with Jacqueline Burns. Jacqueline is a mother, a Belizean editor. She's a politician, poet. Jacqueline wears a whole lot of hats. So we're going to be having a very, very spirited discussion today. We're going to be talking about women empowerment, protecting persons from domestic abuse and violence and sexual abuse. Those are some of the things we're going to be touching. I think this is a very opportune time for us to be doing this with the pardon of Nora Pram that just happened last week. And so I think that this is a good time for us to be touching on this topic. But so let me tell you a little bit more about Jacqueline, the resident. Sorry.
Arlette, can I ask you to please share this to our social media so that we expand on our audience?
Certainly, yes. We can definitely share this to all of our we're sharing. It's on our social media pages. It's on the Clinton Young page on Facebook. It's at Belize Sticks. So we're on YouTube and we're on Facebook. It's on my personal page. Jackie, I don't know if you want to share it on yours too,
Yeah,
but
I'm presently sharing it on all the
yeah,
platforms too.
it's on
So
our pages.
yeah, I'll put it on
On,
YouTube guys.
on my
Yeah,
personal page.
we're gonna share.
It, yeah. So CY, if you'd like, you can tag us into it, please.
Yes, yes, ma'am. No, man. I'm gonna do it now. I'm doing it
So
now as we
yes,
speak.
CY is gonna CY is gonna tag us into it. We have a broader audience for us to see. So I want to talk a little bit about Jackie though. Jackie is a Belizean educator, poet, and politician, resident of Belmopan, and she has 2 children. Her interests include gardening, traveling, politics, community service, and writing. She holds a master's degree in educational leadership and has published several of her poems in Belizean and Caribbean anthologies. She has served as a senator, deputy mayor, and city councilor, and she believes in helping people. Jacqueline currently serves as the director of the United Democratic the Belize Advisory Board. Her interests include empowerment of women leaders and aspiring leaders, advocacy for domestic violence and sexual victims. And I also have to add, Jackie make one of the best pepper sauces you will find, Mustard Mayhem. So I had to add that. So Jackie, welcome and thank you for being with us today. On this topic that we want to touch on and try to share some views, put forward some points and possible ways of how we can help persons who are suffering from any type of violence, especially those of domestic violence and sexual abuse. So like I mentioned, Nora Parham was just pardoned after what, 40, 50 something years
Yes.
for killing her common law husband. The evidence shows that she was a victim of domestic violence, and she was tried and convicted and hung. And I don't know, Jackie. Do you let us talk a little bit about that and what the impact
Sure.
of it was?
First off, Arlette, thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite. It's really a pleasure for me to expand the platform to talk on behalf of our Belizean women who have suffered from domestic violence and sexual abuse. And yes, the Nora Parham pardon brought to the forefront what had happened in our history, where Nora, as I know the story, is the mother of 8 sons, 8 boys, and she was suffering from domestic abuse. At the time, though, I'm told that our legislation didn't have much to speak about domestic violence, and so when she was taken to court, she was tried, and of course, eventually she was found guilty and was hanged for the murder of her husband. Now, there are some details that the public perhaps don't know, but it was found that Nora herself did not light her husband on fire. In fact, she was accused of dousing his clothes in some kind of element that would lead to, if it was ignited, catch a fire. And he was the one who, when he went uh, to use the latrine, lit a cigarette and lit himself on fire as a result.
Yeah,
Quite.
yeah, that
Mhm.
right. Apparently, from what history tells us, is that that is what they said happened, and then on top of that, that she had a lot of persons who were able to speak, who are witnesses, who were able to speak and attest to the abuse that she was enduring. So
What is
I
interesting,
think
what is interesting is that at the time there was a group of people who signed a petition on her behalf and were lobbying for her life to be spared, and that did not happen. That had no weight on the decision that was made, and she was hung.
right. And I think that now in present day Belize, the fact that she was pardoned, there are a lot of sentiments and a lot of opinions on both sides of the spectrum relating to this pardon. We heard some persons say that what about the person that was killed? What about his rights? What, people believe that justice was served, and again, it leaves a lot to be discussed when the opinions are so vastly different.
You see, the conversation is as much relevant now. Sure, Nora cannot be brought back to life, but the situation with Belize current day, where domestic violence is the topic, there's just a lot of our Belizeans who are encultured to think that domestic violence is okay, and it's not. It's definitely not. And I'm not speaking from only a personal perspective, but according to our legislation, it's not. And so we've heard the nuances. Some people say, if you not beat me, you not love me. And all this conversation be brought up in our dialogue. And we have to be careful of the story that we project to our young people, our next generation. And so I think that the pardon was significant because it pointed out to those who are paying attention that, guess what? This woman was abused, and that could have possibly been her own self-defense, her way of saying, you know what, I'm not okay.
Right. And I think also it in some of the instances and some of the discussions that we see, it's like a man against woman discussion. And I think that we have to really and truly talk about the fact that domestic violence, it doesn't know gender. It
No.
it doesn't know gender. It happens to both genders.
Mhm.
So it's not if it is a man against woman thing or a woman against man thing. It's just the act of domestic violence that that is abhorred and should not be tolerated and is wrong. And I think that is some of the things that are coming out on with regards to this discussion
Yes.
when Nora Parham was pardoned.
Arlette, the Belizean society is very much a machismo society, right? No man want to say, my lady, they beat me. In fact, there are stories of males going to the police station in this era and saying, she hit me or she slapped me or whatever, and it's something that is considered a joke, because in our society the man's supposed to wear the pants, the jefe of the house.
Yeah.
Right. However, we do want to emphatically state that no woman has no right to put hands on a man either, or to provoke him to that level of anger.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that one of the things that have to be always put in the forefront also is that it is never okay to hit a person in anger. So it's never okay for a man to hit a woman in anger, regardless of what that woman is doing. Mm-hmm. And it's not okay for a woman to do it to a man, regardless of what that man is doing. And I think one of the things that stood out for me was when one person said that if your partner, whether male or female, is goading you and hitting you and all of that, then walk away. If he or she follows you, run. Yes. If she runs, you run faster. So that so that there are no instances that either person will get hurt.
Indeed.
And I think that is one of the things that we have to continue to stress. And also, I think, Jackie, I would want us to look and touch on what is there, what kind of protection is there, what kind of systems is in place for our women or men who feel threatened, who are violated. Mm-hmm. What recourse do they have?
I think for the most part we have a bit of support for the women, and not nearly enough. And for the Belizean women, for many of them, it's difficult for them to access what is available, because I don't think the information is published enough. So we do have the Women's Department. They do have an office in Belize City. There is safe homes in some of the municipalities, in some of the districts in Belize. It's very, very, very sad that yesterday, ironically, one of the homes that provides a safe space for women of domestic abuse was burnt down. And I think that's extremely sad, because places like those save people's lives. But we do have some centers in Belize City. I know that there was one in San Ignacio. I don't know if the other districts do have. But it's very, very important that if you're a woman who is getting abused and you want to reach out, that you speak to somebody who can guide you through to getting assistance. A lot of women are like, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jackie. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of women do not leave because they have no place to go. In many instances in Belize, still the man is the breadwinner for the house, and how am I going to, find somewhere to stay if I don't have a job? And secondly, the women are the nurturers of our children, and they don't feel that they want to leave their kids behind. And so, how then can I leave with 2 or 3 kids? And I don't even have a job. So having a financial plan is also urgently important to those women who are in such situations.
Yes, that is what I was just going to mention, because a lot of times you hear persons who are on the outside of these situations say, why don't they just leave? Why would you stay? And there are so many factors that make which makes these women make these kinds of decisions, or these persons make these kinds of decisions to stay. And you touched on it. A lot of it is financial stability. A lot of it is I can't do it on my own with my children, and so the women won't leave their children. And so I think sometimes society does come off a little bit judgmental when we say things like, leave. Why would you stay there? I wouldn't stay. We don't know that person's situation. We don't know what they're going through, and we don't know what their reasonings are. But I think that if we would show a little bit of compassion and empathy, and try to get people to understand that they can access help, then it would be a little bit easier for them. But when the judgmental side of it comes in, most people would recoil and then not talk about their situation. And I think that those are some of the things that we have to sensitize our people about, as it relates to how we deal with persons who are victims of these kinds of abuse.
Yes. Arlette, you mentioned the judgmental nature of those who are on the outside, and I think it's a very important part of the conversation. Why? Because let's say there's this woman, we'll call her Mary, and Mary gets abused, gets beaten up by her husband. She goes to the police station, she makes a report. Police ask her, do you want to press charges? Mary reflects of where she is at in terms of finances, in terms of where she has some support or lack of support, and she decides not to press charges. She goes back to her husband. Everything is sweet and nice for a little while, and then bam, he hits her again. Mary goes back to the police station, and the cycle repeats. There was a movie on Netflix recently. It's called Maids, I think it was, where the woman was being abused. She was in an abusive relationship. And what I liked about the rescue plan that was available to her is that she could have come as many times to the safe house, and they would just accept her with open arms. When she's ready to leave, she can leave. And she went to that safe house, I believe, 2 or 3 times in the movie. And there were other women that she met there, some of them 10 times, that they go to the safe house, they leave their husbands, and then eventually they end up going back to their abuser. We have to remember these people are victims, and there is a psychological element to being a victim.
Yes. Right. And I think, again, that is why we have to, I think a lot of sensitization have to go on. And I'm speaking about our beautiful Belize and our lovely people of Belize, who our opinions will always differ. But I think that we can disagree and do it respectfully and not further re-victimize the victim. So I think that these are some of, we need to find ways how to help people,
how we
as individuals can help by what we say and by what we do, because we do not have to necessarily know these persons. But if that person sees negativity, they will recoil. But if they see positivity and people saying, we are willing to help, we're sorry for what you're going through, and we're hoping that you will be able to come out of it, and then they would then have a little bit more courage to come forward, right? And I think sometimes too,
I can speak to how we can help as individuals. You know your neighbors, you know the people in your neighborhood, you live around them, so you know what's going on. You know that when you hear somebody screaming, oh, it's X household, that household over there, they're having struggles again, you hear shouting, you hear things breaking, I think the onus is on you to make a report. And you know what, don't be the type of neighbor that says, I don't want to meddle in people's business, or I don't want to get involved, or they might hate me for reporting, because you may have prevented someone losing their lives. And I've
Yes, you
seen
might
it in
just
our
have
news
saved a life.
stories. Yes, I've seen it in our news stories where the neighbors say, "Well, we heard a little something in the middle of the night, but we're used to this." No, we have a
Right.
responsibility as a neighbor to make reports of such things. Secondly, I
Right.
have done this. I have done this before. You know how Harriet Tubman did the underground railroad system, and she hid slaves. And
Yes.
I have hid women who have been abused in my house. Yes, you can spend the night, and we were going to sneak you to safety. We're going to get you a ride to get you out of here so that he doesn't hit you anymore, so that he doesn't come after you. There was a
Right.
story very recently in the news of a woman who went over to her neighbors when her ex-husband came after her, and then after a couple of hours she went back to the house, her house across the street. She was safe at the neighbors, but she went home, and she spent the night home. When the neighbors woke up the following morning, the husband had broken into her home and murdered her. And so perhaps the good thing, the best thing is to say, you know what, you need to spend the night, right?
Yeah. 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 Let them know that they have an option. Let them know that they have at least for that time being, they have that safe haven where they know there are no judgments and it's nothing about caring and compassion. Because like I said, it's disheartening sometimes when we see the comments and all of that on social media against persons who are abused, because it really does make those persons think twice. And I think another thing is that people feel like there's no confidentiality in what they do. They're gonna take me to a safe house, and somebody's gonna say where the safe house is. So what are my options when that happens, and that kind of thing, you know? And I think that at some point we have to start to hold people accountable for some of the things that they do, because these incendiary comments don't just stop on social media. It empowers the abuser sometimes, you
Indeed.
know. And
Indeed.
so those are some of the things that we have to look at.
Arlette, two things that you mentioned prompted thoughts in my head. The abusers, they need help, and very often the police station receive reports about ex gentleman, abusing his spouse or whatever, repeat offenders, and we do nothing to say, hey, you have to go into mandatory counseling, you have to do anger management courses and so on. We don't do
Yes.
anything
Yes.
for the abusers. Maybe we can help them to be better persons. And the second thing that came to mind is how we re-victimize the victim in our Belizean society. Social media, we can find it every time there's a story about sexual abuse and about domestic abuse, where
Yes.
members of the public randomly pass judgment. Oh, she made it ask for
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Right? And we don't know the
Yes.
story. We're not in the story. And so how can we pass judgment on these people?
And I think one of the things too that recently that have been quite worrisome for me was the teenagers that kept going missing. It was in such, I have to say, large number, because if one goes missing, that's too much. That's one too much. But it was quite a bit in the same time.
Yeah.
And we see the comments, the illegal hat, then they look for it. We don't know what they're running away from. And I think that we need to also teach our young children, our young girls, that if something is going on that you think should not be happening to you, or something that is uncomfortable, something that you know that is wrong, you need to say something. You need to speak up. They need to be in an environment where they feel comfortable to come and speak up and say, this is happening to me. I am not comfortable with it. I know it is wrong. This person is doing this to me. The young men, the young women. They need to know that it is okay, that it is safe for them to speak up. They need to be in these kinds of environments, and it's a family issue. The families, the mothers, the fathers, we have to protect our children from these predators. And
We have a responsibility to our
we have a
children.
responsibility, exactly, and they need to know that they can come to us. They need to know that they can come and say this is happening. They must never believe or listen to somebody who says, if you tell, I'm going to do this. If you tell, that is going to happen. They should
And I need
know
to say this
that
right
if I
there.
go to mommy,
I need to say this right there, Arlette, that if you hear somebody tell you, if you tell there's a consequence, then you're doing something wrong. Something wrong
exactly,
is being done
exactly,
onto you, and
exactly,
you tell somebody. I'm
right,
very passionate about this part because a lot of our children are inappropriately touched, and they feel like they don't have anybody that they can talk to. But I will tell our kids that find somebody that you trust, somebody that you know will listen to you, and tell them, and ensure that
yes,
tell them that you
yes,
want something done about it. You know,
yes.
I,
Yes, and I think that is the thing. Once if somebody ever says to you, "Don't tell," that is your cue to tell. Because that is something wrong is happening,
mm-hmm.
and I think that is some of the things that we have to talk about when people say, "Oh, they young girl, then they look for it." Oh, we don't know the situations, and as adults and as a society, we should want to protect them rather than bringing them down.
And I need our public to know that according to Belize's laws, a child cannot consent to sex, and a child under the age of 16 cannot consent to sex. So even if the young lady were to say, yes, and she's 15 years old, I'm sorry, but you're committing rape, you're committing a sexual assault. And we need to educate our young boys as well, so that they understand that there are consequences for them committing such acts.
Right. And I think also is that we have to keep stressing, because a lot of times people say that when there are conversations about abuse in any form, we keep saying young women and young and we don't factor in our young men. It's also illegal for anybody to have sex with a young man who is under the age of 16 too. And I think that we have to always be mindful that there are some young men out there who are being preyed upon also by males and females, and they also must understand that that is wrong, and they also must know that they have somewhere to go to say, this is happening to me, I don't like it, I believe that it is wrong, please help me. So I think we have to remember all of that too. We
As well,
have to always be mindful of that, because yes, go ahead, Jackie.
As well, Arlette, as adults, or as somebody who might receive such concerns and complaints, we have a responsibility to make a report. If we believe that somebody is being harmed, we have a responsibility, and that responsibility can come with consequences. If you know that a child is being molested and you don't report it, there can be consequences for you. And so it's something not to be taken lightly. We need to ensure that we do the right thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, and I also I want to touch, because we've been talking a lot about domestic abuse and violence against women, gender-based violence.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit also about sexual abuse, because they don't always are the same thing. So I want to talk a little bit about that, Jackie. I know that you're open with your story, and so you would be able, from a perspective of a survivor,
Yes.
to speak a little bit on that for us.
Sexual abuse can actually go from somebody telling you something that is sexually suggestive and you don't appreciate the comment, um, all the way up to actual sexual act without permission. And that can be without permission even within a marriage. So if you're married to a wife, to a husband, whatever, and you say no, then that is also a form of sexual abuse. And we need to ensure that everybody gets that very clear. Sexual abuse happens a lot in Belize, and it's usually one of the closest family members. It's usually a trusted family friend, somebody in authority, and somebody respected. So nobody, actually, absolutely nobody, should be considered somebody safe around your children if they are complaining. And I want to send this strong message to our parents. When your child complains about somebody being inappropriate with them, believe your children. Believe your children. Carry out the investigation if you must, but do not tell the child, oh, you to talk nonsense, or you to make that up, or you just want to get back at Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so. No. You need to believe the victim.
Right.
Too often, and we see it splattered on social media, too often in sexual abuse cases, we don't believe the victims. But question this: what do they gain by saying, this person did me this person touched my body, this person had sex with me without my permission? What do they gain?
Right. Again, we have to understand also no means no. It doesn't matter. If I say no, it's no. And that must be respected. And I think that when we call women, oh, they're teasing, and they look for it because they tease the man, or look at what they were wearing, and that, again, further re-victimizing the victim. And I think that is one of the things that is as damaging as the act itself.
Yes. You know what, Arlette? In our Belizean society, a lot of our women dress, sexy, for lack of a better word. You're going to see the curves showing. But that does not give a man permission to touch. Somebody equated it to looking at jewelry in a show window, right? Not because you see the jewelry through the glass case means that you can go and take it. It's not yours. And just like that, not because a woman chooses to expose certain parts of her body means that you're authorized to touch or to do anything with her body. And it goes the same way for men. And we keep having to repeat that message, that it goes both ways. Yes,
it goes both ways. And there are so many different forms of abuse, because when people when we say domestic violence, people just figure somebody's hitting you or punching you or kicking you or so. There's so many other aspects of it. There's a verbal abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's a psychological abuse, and all of them have very damaging effects on a person's psyche. It makes a person feel less than, especially the verbal abuse part. Sometimes you hear some people say, they tell me, and it's not that I'm saying that they're saying they want to be hit. It's just drawing a comparison, showing of how harsh it is for them as persons, how harsh it is for them to deal with the different forms of the abuse, and the verbal abuse for some people they cannot handle. So I think that when we talk about this, we talk about how men abuse women, how women abuse men. So we have to continue to stress that it's not only, we're not just advocating that men are these big ogres and they're beating up on women. We're saying that it happens to both gender.
Yes, we are. And I think, Arlette, For males, it's perhaps even more damaging because males are not often communicators. And you think about socializing with men versus socializing with women. You and I can sit here and talk till no more
Yes.
all
Yes.
day, and we will have conversation rolling non-stop. But you put men
Right.
in a room, you're going to have them watching sports. You're going to have them talking about
Yeah.
cars. But do they really talk about the things that matter? Do they talk about feelings? Do they talk about fears? Do they talk about anything emotional? No, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when it comes to our males, we have to be cautious about how they process the possibilities of abuse, how they might be feeling, and prompting whatever
Yes.
experiences out of them will be really difficult. Also, I find that we have provided shelters for women and children, but is there anything in place for the male gender? Where does a man
Right.
go when he is beaten? Where does a man go when he is sexually abused? And the stigma
Right.
um, that comes with it, the way we in Belize might receive such concerns, it's not very welcoming. And so we
Right.
do need to amplify the advocacy for our males.
Right. And I think because, like you mentioned, men are not emotional creatures. And earlier in the show you said this machismo thing with the men, their egos will not allow them to go to a police station and sit down in front of a police officer, a male police officer at that, and say, listen, my woman, they beat up on me. My woman, they hit me with a bottle. My woman, they want me in a pot or something like that. They will not, they can't find that within their male ego to go and do that. And so they suffer in silence, just like some women do. And
Yeah.
there has to be advocacy for the men also. We have to let these men understand that you are as much a victim as the woman is,
Arlette,
and
Arlette,
find a way.
Arlette, it did happen to me once. I'm a teacher, and at the time I was heading the department of maybe 10 teachers or so, mostly women. And there was this temporary teacher that had come in, and one day he showed up at work with scratches on his face and the bruise on his mouth. And it was difficult for me to approach him and say, sir, you cannot go in front of the students looking like that. What's going on? And it turned out that, yes, it was a fight with his partner. And I sat with him, I talked to him privately, and then I said, sir, I'm going to ask you to take a day off. I'm going to ask you to take a day off and try to get some medical attention, try to see if you want to get some support for what you're going through. And I don't mean to meddle in your personal business, but I really want for you to do something about this so it doesn't become a repeat situation. That gentleman did not come back to work. I don't know what may have happened to him, but what I do know is that I tried to guide him to make a report of the situation, to get medical help. And so it's difficult because perhaps for a woman, I would know immediately, call this individual, send them to this location. But where do I send the male, because the support system is not in place? So that's something we need to work on.
That's something we need to work on. And also, will the male want to go? Will they want to go? We have to make it so that they don't feel alone. But again, with the judgment that people face, because if we face it as women, we're gonna definitely face it. The men is going to probably be far side worse, because
Yes.
their own male counterparts will say to them, "Oh, you don't want to live with my boy. How you to make a woman beat you? Why you,
Yes.
you know?" While
Yes.
that man probably allowed himself to be abused because he did not want to abuse the woman,
Because we
right?
teach our boys never to hit a woman.
Exactly, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. I tell my son that all the time. You have
Mhm.
when we talk about these kinds of issues, you have your mother and you have your two sisters who you want nobody to put their hands on.
And
So whenever you get angry, walk away.
yes, and that's my conversation with Jai, my son. He's 18, and one of the things I like that you mentioned that, Arlette, that you tell your son this, because as parents we need to learn to make teachable moments out of these situations
Yes,
when they come up on
yes,
social media, when they come up on the news, when they become a part of our everyday existence. That's our
yes,
responsibility, that we have the conversation with them and we try to guide them as to how would you deal with a situation where when you grow up, when you're committed in a committed relationship, somebody tries to hit you, how would you deal with that? Or somebody's shouting at you and gets you so angry that you're doubling your fist, what do you do?
mm-hmm,
And
yes,
it's our responsibility as parents. And
yeah.
many parents in Belize aren't talking to their children about these deep issues that are a part of our socialization processes.
Definitely, definitely. I keep saying that all the time. I grew up in a household where my father didn't raise his voice.
Mhm.
He was not the disciplinarian at all in our home.
Yes.
We were all daddy's girls, and
Mhm.
so that's what we grew up knowing. Our
Mhm.
mother was a teacher, so she was strict, but she wasn't abusive.
Yes.
So we have to tell our children, let us all be products of our environment as it relates to your
Mhm.
household and how you raise your children and what you teach them. What you
Yes.
teach them, that is so important. What you teach them, what your child sees you accept, they will think is the norm,
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
they will grow up and that cycle will continue,
Yes.
right? So
You
if
know,
you as a woman see yourself in a situation that you cannot readily get out of, still speak to your children and tell them.
mhm.
Explain. If
Yes.
they are experiencing it with you, you need to speak to them and tell them, this is wrong. I can't do
Yes.
anything about it right now, but I plan to do something about it. But please know that this is wrong. We have to do this, because if we don't and we accept it, they think it's the norm.
There's this poem. It says, "Children learn what they live." And as many times as perhaps we can tell them, don't do this and don't do that, we also have to set the example for them. And as parents, that's also a part of our responsibility, teaching our children how to live lovingly. You know, um,
Yes,
it's
yes,
how to function in a relationship. Life's lessons is, think about your survival kit for your own life, how you
yeah,
make decisions and so on. A lot of the times it is reflecting on people who you choose as a role model. Like, I see Miss So and so had done this once upon a time, and I want to do something like that. So you use that as a guide, and it speaks to us emulating people who we consider role models. Um, don't let the role model be an abuser. Don't let the role
yes,
model be a sexual abuser. And you know what is sad? When people that our kids consider role models get themselves caught up in some kind of domestic abusive situation, or
right,
a sexual abusive situation. It's very
right,
important then
yes,
that the conversation takes place, where you go and you nip that in the bud and say, I know you like this sports star or whatever, But what he did in that instance was really wrong.
Yes.
And let's talk
Yes.
about it.
Right. And I think too, we need to let our children know need to be their siblings' keeper, your cousin's keeper, your friend's keeper. You all need to look out for each other, because if I am telling you that if this happens to you, it is wrong, and you see it happening to somebody else, it is still wrong. So speak up.
Yes. Yes.
Speak up. Be each
Yes.
other's keeper, because you would be able to probably save that person from years of abuse, from a whole lot of other issues that would probably manifest itself because of the abuse. So we need to teach them also is that we keep saying it takes a village, but we all have to protect the village. We all have to protect the village.
Yes.
It's not just, we have to make sure that it is something that everybody feels a sense of comfort to come and say, this is happening to me, I need help. Men or women. I just noticed somebody in one of the in a comment on one of the social media pages say a man would never come, would never want to go for help, too much machismo. That is sad. That is sad that a person, because of his gender, would prefer to stay in an abusive relationship or an abusive situation than come out and say, listen, this is happening to me and I need help.
Yes.
But again, this is because of the effects of society. This is what we propagate.
I was about to say that. I was about to say we as society need to make it okay for a man to come forward. If that man is hesitating to come forward, is because he is fearing the judgment of the people immediately around him. And so if we make it okay, if we show the kind of support that we would show another woman, then believe me, our males are going to come out. Of recent, I have been thinking that as Belizeans, we have been failing our male genders more so than our female genders, because our women are stepping out now, and I'm very proud of my sisters. Yes, we have more growth to get where we want to get. We do have a journey to go on. But what I'm seeing is that because the women have stepped up, some of the men have stepped back. And I want to tell the brothers, no, this is not what you're supposed to do. We want you right.
Walk with us.
Walk
with us.
Yes,
walk with us.
Yes,
walk
please.
with us. And we don't want for anybody to think that when we talk about women empowerment and we talk about it's empowering women and downplaying men, that's not it at all. I think we want to do it together, and we want the men to feel that we can do this too. And if you help us, let's make some changes together.
Indeed.
It's not just about the women coming forward and doing this. Let's do it together. Walk with us, take this journey with us, and let us help each other. Because what we do not want the men to feel like now they are the ones who are being marginalized because women are stepping up. We don't want that at all. And I think that is the problem.
That's what the statistics is suggesting to me. Like when I look at women who are enrolled in schools, in the university, women who are aspiring for leadership and so on, we're seeing more women stepping up to the plate. And I want to encourage the men, hey, we don't want to leave you behind. Come on, let's go. We're going to do this together. So
I like to use the analogy. I like to say that, they used to always, there was this thing, behind every successful man, there is a woman. Mm-hmm. So we want to say that beside, not behind, beside, or if you are going to be behind me and I'm climbing that ladder, push me up so that I can pull you up along with me. Don't pull me back down, And so when we are talking about empowering women, it's not just women empowering women, it's a society coming together to show women that we can support each other as women, that men will support us because they believe in us and what we can do the same way we believed in them.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
you know, when I'm climbing that ladder, push me up and I'll pull you up along with me. But
Yes.
if you pull me back down, it's not gonna look, you know, it's not gonna help anybody.
I also think that that's a factor in domestic violence and sexual abuse, because oftentimes it's about a power struggle. It's about the man trying to find his role, his role in the family. I used to be the leader of this family, and now this woman is stepping out of her place, and she's moving up ahead of me, and let me break her down back to size and teach her who's the boss. And so that's a relevant part of the conversation. Yes. And it's a conversation that needs to be had between men and women who are in a relationship. What roles do you play? What does it mean when I do this, and what does it mean when I make more money than you? It doesn't mean that I consider myself more important than you. This is how you contribute to our family. And so the dialogue is necessary.
Right. Because again, it's the ego where my woman should not be making more money than me, or my woman should not be contributing more than me to the household. Why can't that be that we're doing this together? We're taking care of our household together. And maybe the men would say to their male person, why you don't have to take that beating, walk away.
I remember.
Does that person know? Does that man know that you know, if I go to John won't ridicule me?
Yes.
You know. So those are the factors that we have to think about.
It brings to mind a conversation I had with my second year class recently. We were reading Green Days by the River, and the character Shell, his dad told him, if you're looking for a girl, look for a girl with less education than you. Yes. And so we had a spirited discussion in this class, because I asked the boys in the class, well, is that how you feel, that if you have an associate's degree, you need to find a girl with a high school diploma? Is that how you feel? It became a very real conversation, inspired by what was in the text. And a lot of the kids shared that, Miss, that isn't the situation with our parents. Nobody pays attention to what academic qualification you might have. It's about if I love you and you love me. Right. But I do think that it becomes a reality in terms of when earnings are being discussed.
It certainly is. It certainly does become. It does become a factor. The education aspect of it becomes a factor, and the financial aspect of it does become a factor. Mm-hmm. Because if that man was already so used to being the primary breadwinner, or taking more money and all of that, and bringing in more money, and the woman then goes educate herself, gets a higher position in her workplace, starts to earn the same kind of money, that man will feel some level of intimidation if he is not a strong enough person to admire his wife's accomplishments and encourage her further. Then that man would definitely feel some kind of intimidation.
I always say this, Arlette, that in Belize, it's kind of strange that we don't have like a dating culture, or it is just two people get together, and as compared to other countries where they might have something, some kind of well, maybe you visit with the girl's family and
no, we don't date.
No, And I
You know,
think that is what is missing from the conversation between the male and female gender, so
yes,
that you really
yes,
get to know someone and identify what it is that you might like about somebody, understand who your partner is. I think we function a lot on, you know what, I think he look cute, I think she pretty.
yes, yes. I think that is one of the issues too. And again, it's a societal thing, because if a woman starts to date, right? Oh, it go out with lot of man, it rude, it about with all kind of man, while then, because our society is, I meet you, we get together, I'm your girlfriend, you're my boyfriend, and that's it. And so you tend to settle because you don't want society to start judging you for dating different people.
Mhm.
It's one of the things, and we don't have that dating culture. I wish that it is something that we could step away from, and stop letting these young people feel that you have to jump into this relationship right away.
And so I think, had we had some kind of dating practice, a person would spend time getting to know a prospective partner, and it would be time to look for hints of if this person respects me, how this person speaks to me, does this person,
Right.
have a tendency to rough talk when he or she gets upset. These are hints that you look for. I remember as a young girl, one of the things that my mom told me is that as soon as somebody makes you feel scared of them, that's not a good sign. Maybe you need to leave. And that was something that I took with me for all of my life. And it helped me. You know why? Because I can actually say, well, nobody put their hands on me, because I used that as a guiding principle in when I was getting to know people I was considering dating.
Right. I remember my father used to always say to our boyfriends,
Mhm.
I have all my daughters, I love them to death, and I would want to keep all of them with me. If you know you want ill treat her, leave her now.
Yes.
That was one of the things that he used to always say. I remember some of them saying, "Yeah, we're gonna walk the straight and narrow. Your part one me chop." A morning time, early morning, they might hear the saw running. So these are some of the things that these fathers need to start to say to these prospective young men who
Yes.
come to see their daughters.
Yes.
And you have to let your daughters know their worth. Mothers, fathers, parents, let your children know their worth. Let
Yes.
them get to know prospective partners before they have to jump into a full and serious relationship, because they get into it without actually knowing the person. And
Mhm.
then therein lies the disaster.
Yes. And oftentimes, I will tell our audience, oftentimes the abusers are people that are incomplete and have their own inner fears, inner fights going on,
Yes.
and then they pump it
Yes.
out of somebody's child, which is very
Definitely.
unfair, right? Because
Definitely.
the person being abused is just there to love him or her, but you
Right.
are having your own fears, and you're acting out on them, on somebody that is there to provide love for you and support for you. So one of the things, when we're talking to those people who would be inclined to hitting somebody, abusing somebody, one of the things I need to tell them is, if you know that you have that sort of inner conflict, man, work on yourself before you go and
Yes.
hurt somebody's daughter, somebody's loved one,
Yes.
somebody's son.
Yeah.
Work on
And I
yourself,
think
because
also we must understand though that we can't change a person.
no,
You cannot change a person. That person has to want to change. That person has to first accept that there is a problem and want to change, you cannot change that person. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you cannot change that person. So always be mindful that you have to protect yourself.
Yes.
You have to always be protective of yourself, because if you are worrying about that person, you open yourself for something to happen to you. Also, sorry, go ahead, Jackie.
One of the things too with abused spouses is that they often blame themselves. Maybe if I make tea for her and have it ready on the table, then maybe he never may have knocked me. Or maybe if I may get home on time, he wouldn't have been so angry, or she wouldn't have been so angry.
Right.
You're making excuses, and you're
you're making excuses. Exactly. Yes. Can you imagine? Time is almost on us. But just before we go, Jackie, could you just expound a little bit on how you dealt with your situation? What were your coping mechanisms?
Okay. So I'm a survivor of sexual abuse, and it was some good years ago, and I'm thankful to God that I'm here alive. But some of my coping mechanisms that I use is that I actually went to counseling. And Arlette and I, when we spoke about having this interview, we talked a little bit about Belizeans having this taboo idea about going to counseling. Counseling is not only for people who are crazy, right? It is also for you when you're not mentally well, when you're not psychologically well. And if you suffer from sexual abuse, in many cases you are left with some form of post-traumatic stress, and so it's something that you need to do to rebuild yourself. So I did do counseling. I did do a lot of support groups. There is a silent support group for sexual victims that I'm a part of, and when people reach out, we sit and we talk. I am very open about my experience. I share it with other people simply because I want people who are suffering from any form of sexual abuse to know that it's not their fault. They're not the only ones out there, and that they can be okay again. My journey has been one of healing, of having a lot of support. I have a family who really, really loves me. And so, yes, the struggles came, but I had people in my corner who were there to help. Definitely seek counseling.
Yes. Well, Jackie, I want to say thank you. There is so much more we could talk about this. We're going to have you back on one of our other shows. There is so much more that needs to be touched on this topic. It's a never-ending conversation. But I really, really want to thank you for coming on today and sharing with us. It was a very informative and at some point deeply emotional conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And we're hoping that if we've touched one person today to move forward to help themselves, then we've done a good thing here. So thank you again for coming. I want to say, ask everybody to stay tuned for the GMIC show coming up following us. I want to say thank you to everybody who supported the Lupus and RA Association events throughout the month. The last event is May 28th, which is the Lupus Walk. It's back after 2 years because the pandemic didn't allow for it. So I want to say thank you to everybody. If you want to donate to the Lupus Association, please do so to the Lupus Association account at Heritage Bank at 9131195. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you all again next week.
Greetings. Y'all hear me all day? It Wonderland. Smoke, what's up?
I loved it.
Mr. G, what's up? Let me unmute Mr. G right here. Let me add Mr. G. What I did? Man, there you go. Okay. Mr. G, what up?
G Mike gone. Where G Mike gone?
No, man, G-Bike the come on over. G-Bike can't go nowhere. You crazy?
No
G-Bike.
man, no man.
G-Bike come on. Line up G-Bike thing we
Man,
talk about. G-Bike don't go
everything good,
nowhere.
everything good. All
Everything
right.
Crystal Curry. Everything Crystal Curry, Mr. G. Mr. G, before you go any further, how you like the lead show just now?
Why? I
I know you got. I know.
yeah,
I
I got
know
something
you.
to say. I
I
got
know
something to say.
you go, man. I
I
know
got
you go.
something to say. I know we're
Yeah,
not going there.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Uh,
Give me
we're
an
not going.
minute before we get to where we get to. Just give me an minute, make I line up everything. We're not too late thing, and then we introduce you properly. Your boy said the
Smokey
way
Dan,
thing.
what's up?
I don't know.
I do right job, Big Don.
Respect, Rasta.
I still pack up. I still pack up. I need to get out here in 2 weeks. 2 weeks left.
We're going.
Move to our next site.
Oh, next state
Next site.
or just next site? All right.
Yeah, man. Next site. Our next exciting site.
Well, once you keep site at the whole site and bring the new site into focus, you're gonna do all right, man.
You don't know. You don't know that already.
We
Thanks.
know, we know. We're not going into that kind of song like this as secret site, so we're not saying nothing.
Watch somebody inside.
Movements.
Yeah.
Somebody watch somebody inside, my boy.
Yeah,
Well, I got our let me just line up the thing and then you could just take it over me, Beijing, because I have to get your boy on the thing. You know, with the box.
I am G Mike Reed, and it's time for the G Mike Show.
G Mike.
Yeah, we're good.
How we song? Wait again, wait, not another yet. Are you with it? You want to know how we song live? I think Smokey did a good job on it. Yeah, he said that's tough, you know. Yes, Mr. G. Welcome, Mr. G. I will leave you guys up here for a minute. Let me go get your guest, sir.
All right, good.
All right, bless.
Yeah, Smokey Dan, yeah, man, I think I'm out good, man. Of course, everything now work in progress. So
Yeah, man. We happen to have the studio broke down today, so I'm saying try to clear up the studio today. So one of them days again.
Yeah, man.
I mean, so I just sent the thing now. See where I play them off on the inside. I mean, I look like a tornado right now. If I flip this camera around, you know, I said, what kind of hoarders I'm hoarding in here.
Boy, I got one motto where I live by: better busy than bored.
Yes,
So
sir.
stay busy and not get bored and life deal with you and live better, you know what I'm saying? And then I deal with that boredom and ennui by that a rough state. That's where people get depressed and kind of start to think too much stuff, right? You know, they can't enjoy the moment. They have to try imagine what could be or where they should or want to be, and the present just slip right past them.
No, but they want to catch up, man.
Yeah, them wind up to catch up. Indeed, you can't catch up. You know, once it gone, it gone.
That's it.
Once the story's told, it can't help but get old.
You can't bring back time or take time forward.
Yeah.
I like what the ladies was discussing just now.
Yeah, I want deep situation, I want deep thing, and it's real, you know. It's real. I know Jackie for years actually. Why she was one gorgeously girl. Well, she's still a pretty child, no? But the whole situation with that domestic violence thing, I wonder if women ever stop and wonder what they themselves can do. I mean, because says man have to stop abuse women, fine. But see, many men have one break point, and women tend to be able to recognize that point, and sometimes they push it, and that it results in that. A lot of times the men are sincerely sorry afterwards for what they do, but it get to that point. We both have to know how far to go with the other person, and I'm not saying here, and don't get me wrong, that domestic violence that a woman's fault, because it's not. But there are times when they could do more to prevent it on their own accord, and that needs to be a part of the conversation.
Well, I'm not saying that literally, physically, But sometimes I'm out, you know what I mean, get out of control sometime. You understand me? Because
Yeah.
most of the time, I know I can walk away from it, but just because my one want to act like he put on boots to like me, you know what I'm saying? Just like me.
This is what they say.
I like to
This is what
tell
they
him, you
say.
understand?
A man is a man is a man. And I have to say, well, hold on, baby. You the kind of emasculate me, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Give me
Yeah,
a little respect here. And sometimes they, instead of doing that, they push it even further. Well,
yes.
you know, and they know you're upset, but that are the way they could get back at you. See that, and that we have to keep in mind that a woman strength their voice, their mouth,
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes,
they
yes.
use that well.
Very.
But words are powerful, man, and words could push a man. Words have launched wars, you know.
Yes.
Men have gone to wars behind words, so they need to also understand that you have to watch your words carefully. You can't just tell a man anything with coming in your mouth and then expect that he have to keep in control and stay in that control. They have the law on their side now, so they ain't gonna call on
Well,
police. They ain't gonna go and just say you do anything. They don't have to prove it, you know.
yes, yes, I understand that. I've been there. What I would say, my first wife, my ex-wife, I ain't call no name. I mean, been there, done that.
Mhm.
As I was going to school for CDL, driving trucks, and I just kept on getting called. They to take my test. Get frustrated. The what do you call the instructor saw me on the phone. He said, "I don't want you 2 times. Get out." You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So by the time we reach on, I frustrated. I stopped at the boss to pay for me for Ghana the CDL. Tell him I Ghana, because the first account was from him. That was my first warning. Hey Harvey, I'm in here. Blah 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 blah. I had to take the test right now. You got to ease up. Then watch me. All right, Gillette. Bam bam. He hang out. Then she called. Then he called back. Kick out of the class. I frustrated now because remember I done up there for 6 months. You understand me? This is my
Uh,
time now for show what I can do, and I got kicked out the class because of the phone call in the instruction in the where they take the test. So I make
but
it
you
back
you should.
home now.
Uh,
I make it back home, Mr. G Mike. Pull up on the driveway. When I pull up on the driveway, I frustrated and thing. I didn't want to go in the house. So I just cool off and I had to sip on my lead thing and the bun and lead thing. Next thing you know, the ex-wife just come out and what? It was a rum shell. I ain't conscious that she wiped something across my chest, but I never know that what she wiped. You understand me? So when I conscious that what she wiped, I say, hey, you bleeding. You understand me? When I look for my shirt, G Mike, she done mark me already. She done slice for she cross for she hand, blood across my chest. And who you think they carry? They carry me, then ask no question. Then
yeah,
ask
yeah,
how
yeah,
this
yeah,
and
that,
that
yeah,
and that.
that
You
man.
understand me?
Yeah, that one.
So
Why that one? No, tough. But no, you can turn off your phone though.
yes, yes, as when I was in there, but because I have it on vibrate, you understand me? He didn't say nothing about it. He said, just don't let no phone ring and we don't want to see you on the phone. That's what he said, you understand me? So by me have it on vibrate, it vibrating in my pocket, and I'm like, God damn. Hello, boss man.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. In that case, and let me be perfectly honest with you.
G,
You could have
hold on,
left
G
the
Mike.
phone
This,
outside. You
yes, G
contribute
Mike,
to
but
that point there.
no, what I'm saying, this was like 25 years ago.
Yeah, but then
That's how
how
I was
can we still turn the phone off? I mean, it may bigger than we can we turn it off. But but I understand what they say, and why? But when you're in a relationship, there, it rough. I take a licking. My wife, my first wife though. Actually, my wife, because I never married again after that. But it was and it's funny because this now that the two man talk, two woman don't talk, two man talk about the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And there's another perspective to it. So we could sit on next perspective. You know, when they tell you, boy, this person abusive in the way he talked to me, and sometimes I know that the one level of frustration where you to go through, where if they not be one little more patient and understanding, you could deal with it better. Then could be more compassionate and but instead they dig. You know, there was a saying. I remember one time I was in a class somewhere and we talked about when if women should go to war. Then it make ask the question if women should go to war. and they decided, you know what, boy, maybe not. And the reason I gave is that when a man got a war and they don't fight the war, he done. They go home, everything all right. Woman, they not done. They kill the dog, then they the push, they stand. Serious? You look here. When a man and a woman gonna quarrel and the woman start cry, 9 out of 10 times the man soften up and the boy, all right now. And you know what? Even so, well, not just no cry. You cry, your grandma cry, your grandpa cry, everybody cry. She still got your foot in your chest and in your neck,
Grind it.
grind. Boy, you think not playing. The life is rough, Rasta. Life is a rough thing. And when you talk real, then
No,
brand new.
but to be fair, and for me to say, I listened to the whole episode, and they did mention that part of it. Is that it's not like they left out? Oh, men don't get
Yeah,
abused.
yeah, yeah.
It's not, you know what I mean? I keep it 100 all the time. I'm not gonna just lay back
then,
and take that. I'm just saying.
then
Because
just
I watched
show
the
that
whole
to
thing,
you.
I see the whole thing. So they did
Yeah, yeah.
time
Then
out to mention that part too.
yeah, then
Because,
just
you
show
know,
that
it,
in.
it, it,
Then
it goes
just
both
show that
ways.
in. Then show that in so that you could say what you to say
No,
right
but
now.
I'm saying
Then
no,
I like
no,
no
I'm just
serious.
saying it's
Then no
because
serious
it's
little one.
because
No,
it's
no,
because
no.
of the same fault, like premeditated.
Yeah.
Some ain't got no issue. You gotta be devil advocate, gotta be fair. I'm telling you what they said. Because you're talking about you and they say what they said.
Yeah.
I gotta let you know that that part was included too. We can't omit that out of the whole conversation. For whatever reason they said it or why they said it, it's kind of irrelevant. At least they
I
said
hear you. Yeah.
it.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So now we're going to go out. We got the plan. I think we set up to like a couple things. The crowd have to know that, yeah. Mr. Morrison is still try ropey. I don't know we got that far. Where's it alone, but as that
You
go,
know,
you know what I mean?
you not get tired?
I don't get that yet. They send me one thing where I try. I'll send
But
it
you
to you. I'll
can't.
send it to your
I
phone.
hope you know to try to do it on the phone because you know everybody got problem on the
No, he
phone.
say he gone to the laptop. He say he gone to
Excuse
the
me.
laptop, but I don't know where he gone on. He say he went
Yeah.
to the laptop, but I don't know where
I
really
mean,
gone on. I'm
usually
gonna
once
send
you
it.
hit that dock, the thing gets stuck. You know what I mean?
I think maybe.
You
Oh
send on the
man,
dock,
give me a
right?
capital. You know, give me a capital G. No, no, a regular G. Make
You
us see if I got
can't, you
it correct.
can't send them on the rooster. Send on the dock.
Mr. Mike, I got one more question for you. So see why you too.
Uh,
If
Ask me no
just to
question,
say, just
brother. Take your personal
see why he dey try get brung the point. See why he
No,
dey
no,
try
me
get
not the part of it, brother. No.
he get
I
soft.
keep it level. No, I keep it level.
The girl
I
got
keep
his
it level. I
soft
keep
now.
it level. I don't parade like that,
Yeah,
my boy. I don't parade like
wait,
that.
wait,
I'm a real
Ben,
general. I
yeah.
swear.
Ben,
That's the way I do. I listen to everything, then I come to a conclusion. I don't
I
know one
hear you.
time
I
story. I
hear
think
it.
if you right, you right. I defend you a lot of time. I make them know you
Mr.
solid.
No,
So
nobody.
yo, I'm serious. That's
No
what I say.
introduce that in the argument.
So
No,
I
you're
say.
going again.
That's
You're going
all right.
again on the
But
fallacies to the stay upon the argument.
wait
Yeah,
now,
go
wait
ahead.
now,
Go ahead,
boy,
George.
Jima,
everybody
G,
say they can follow you, say, but if they never know you,
G
yo, that
Mike,
boy could
Yeah,
play,
G
man,
Mike,
Smokey.
man. We can
just
send
where it
this thing
start right.
again, man.
Watch out now.
Chop.
Smoky down the coming now. Smoky down coming in and big black eye.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I don't know where going on, my brother. I'm tired of this woman. This man keep thumping. You really think Smoky down with a corner?
Oh, so you the power where boy you know Amber wait think with the girl there? Amber Johnny
Yeah.
Depp kind of thing you the
Yeah,
power now you got deep
yeah.
now.
No.
You got
No,
deep
no.
now.
You, what you to say?
You got
What you to say that if the man get beat,
the boy
you not going to tell because he shame. You don't want to say nothing.
yeah. G
No,
Mike.
man. I know this for a fact. The only man we go, all right, no disrespect. You know, before I get married to my second wife now, I went to counseling.
How much
Like,
wife you have to?
What? We're not going through that right now.
All right, go to.
Right. No, I like pick off at the shelf and you know when
Aye.
it get, you know, get rid of that. But my second wife here, which is marvelous. You understand me? We started from the ground up. Not like before. We never the first one I'm a sugar coated with the lead dating game thing, you know what I mean? With a diamond leaf flat top and have it in a sound Janet. Who was Bobby Brown was my Danny in the days, Bobby Brown and Shabba Rank. So you know I have the Bobby Brown Shabba Rank say a style.
This one come real. This one come straight.
Straight across the board.
You
You
listen
understand
now.
me? So yeah, no man, as you
Okay.
say, I like what they said with the dating thing. That's where it started from. You understand me? From
Oh,
then,
the dates. Yeah,
boom.
yeah, yeah. They
Yes, you
mentioned
understand
dating.
me?
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Mali,
lost
why?
art.
But Percy Sledge did the song where all we used to dance to and listen and not realize what the man they say. Take time to know her. Take time, and
It's
this
not an
away.
overnight thing.
That's right. This our
Yeah.
parents not really the
We talk
teach
so
them
large
technique.
hall thing. No, we talk so
Right?
large hall thing.
A one night stand, a slam bam, and next thing you know, married. And they no
Bring that.
last.
This. Yeah, a
No
lot of
last.
things. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Because you don't
Yeah,
know one
yeah.
person. We are all
You have
actors,
to
you
get
know.
compatible.
That's
You have to get
You and
compatible.
these are actors. When I go put on a show for you, think I the nicest ambition in the world. And no cross me. You know,
that's
see,
that's why I put on it. You don't get to know the person until when you live with them.
that's
You
right.
understand me?
That's
You feel
right.
me? And that's the worst time. Cause what if you may know how that person was before you get to live with them?
Boy, look here, you married Dr. Jenkins. Out the bush come and say hi. Where this motherfucker come from now? Who he? So
You understand me?
yeah, he rough, and
Yeah,
likewise
man.
on two sides, you know.
Yes,
Two
yes, of
side,
Yeah,
course,
man
two
of
and
side
course.
woman.
man, two side man, two
Yeah,
side, yeah, two side man, two side.
and in a one situation everything nice and curry, and the next way, well, who this? I don't know
What?
this person, you know.
What?
I think that the way I think the way patience come in, man, because sometimes most things happen in an instant like that and then it be too late. So if you not got no control, either way, I mean man or woman, anyone and if you not got
Well,
that
that's true.
control, then my
That's
man, you
true.
could lose
That's
it.
true. And I think that my weakness then of all the
Yeah.
virtues I prayed for, and I believe I was blessed with. Patience, boy. I say, God, you still wait for give me that one, cause
You
I
see,
not
but G
got like.
Mike, the half of the solution have to know what it is, because you have to recognize. This is what a lot of people that don't recognize their
Excuse me.
shortcomings. They know to look for
Well,
it two other way, but then once you
well.
recognize and know what it is, you could try and adapt and try to deal with it. But if you don't know what's the root cause of this thing or where you go like that, then or the beginning or what, then you'll never be able to, you know what
There's
I mean, adjust
another.
or change.
There's another thing too, you know, because you could confuse patience with low tolerance of bullshit.
No,
Because
that's
you could
different.
say,
That's
oh,
different. That's
my
different.
man
That's
just not
different.
got no, he not got
No,
no
no, no. That's
patience, but
different. That's
the
different.
amount of bullshit when they come with you on a regular basis in life. That's why they say common sense, they not a blessing, you know, they want curse because the amount of people you have to deal with when you got it. Basic
Mm.
common sense thing, you to talk to a person and you to tell them over and over, check this out, make we not go that way. Make we not go that way. At some point, boy, you lose it. You say, well,
Yeah.
we're not going that way then. All right.
The thing I find funny over here, so now, as in the States, I say you have the buffest man and a scrawniest lady, right? Or young lady, or queen, or empress, or whatever they want to call it. And I know in our facts, it doesn't take physicality. One man is 10 times stronger than a woman, 50 times stronger. But I see that woman here over here, so when I drape up there one over here, so Mr. G Mike, I be like, wow, damn, you only really want she beat you down. You understand me? That way you put yourself into, you understand me?
Yeah.
And I pick it in myself sometimes. Yes, before I raise my hand to my lady regular now say, oh, you could go back and forth with me, watch my voice go still go higher than your one. And I want press the button till it tell me, boy, get out of my face, get out of the house. And that's the part where I like when you say that. No, cause no, I'm going from the street there. I want
You
to
got,
chill
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
cool out, I'll go relax, you understand me? But most of the time it takes the strongest person to walk away from it. You understand me? As in
Yeah, that's my thing too. That's what I said too. Yeah.
the
Yeah, you ain't no
strongest
punk. You're not a punk or anything like that. You just not like that's
yeah.
not what it is.
Yeah.
Why?
No, I'm
And like
saying
I say, but you see, there's a funny thing too. There's a funny thing too. This is the part I try to understand. Women deal in riddles. Women like something will happen and they wouldn't say what it is, and it's nothing. You could be minor. Yeah,
then go
yeah, but you don't know. If they would
around.
communicate, I think it would be. I'm not saying this is the lead up to abuse. I'm just saying
No,
No.
they always want to be where they go on.
Yeah.
No, they're supposed to figure out how they feel, how they
Exactly.
think, how they think. Yeah,
Now
that's hard, bro.
you got to know, right? You got to know. You got to know exactly.
No, I understand. I understand from the beginning. I'm just saying, like I say, I gotta play.
You to talk about walk away. This one woman back me in a corner would not let me get out. I'm saying so. Well, I mean, when
See,
you
that's
she
kind of
look
hard.
come
That's
out at me, you know. boy.
That's
And
kind of hard. That's kind of hard.
and I
That's
say,
kind of hard. That's
just
kind of
get out
hard.
of my face, right?
Yeah, that's kind of hard. That's kind of
Okay,
hard.
up in on my face. You
That
know
a
the
nice
man.
part, G. Michael, at
That's
this
kind
part,
of
yeah.
hard, G. Like, that's kind of hard.
Yes, they grab you in a shot too. And like the woman let go my garments. And then they call the
What you
police.
do?
Then they call the police and then I will tell the true story. Police need to understand that women will lie. They're not the give the truth. They say when you hear a story, you look for the third side. Because you got one, I got one, and there's a real side there. So I don't know what we could do to fix it, but I think it will continue, but I think a lot of women they ride the wagon. In other words, then it get over. Because yes, there are times when there's a lot of abuse, when women do get abuse, and it's unfair, unfortunate, but there's some that don't get abuse and just continue to ride that. No, yeah.
That's Mr. G trying to get at me, man. My thing is loaded. I don't know what's
Oh,
happening.
when you the caller, I try to answer my phone. The guy they say, I must immediately
Yeah, I'm trying to check it now. I mean, there's a glitch in the matrix somewhere. I think that. Man, I don't know what's happening here. Let me see.
Well, you may come on with you Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday we was on together. Yeah, Wednesday we was
So,
on together.
Yeah, cause I missed the
Wednesday
one.
we
I'm
was on
coming
together.
late.
Yeah, Wednesday we was on together.
The old link you sent me will not work because it shows that I'm there in the lobby, but
Yeah.
you're supposed to let me in. But
No, not on the old link. The old link. You tried the old link. You said that's what you said.
Send it, because I got up on a new link and it's saying at the show and I couldn't come on. So then that's why you send me the new link. Send on the link again.
Yeah, I'll send out you. I'll send out you the book. I'll send out you
Just
the
cut
book.
through Facebook. And
Yeah,
then,
I'll send you the link in a minute. I'll send you the link. Yeah, let me do that. All right, go ahead, you guys. Let me.
Yeah, man.
Me
and G Mike in a hot soup right now, man. Me and G Mike in a hot soup. Make you feel soup.
That's all right. Yeah, man. But the situation is that everybody understands domestic violence is not good, it's bad, because who suffer most of the children? Because then they watch where they go on.
Yes.
Now they got another thing where these women like do, and I say these women for the time, but the ones that do it, and I know in general, not in general, because some do it, they turn the picnic against you. All right, I'll give an example. But they're nothing funny. I had privilege weekend visits with my son. When I say alternative weekends, every other weekend he get to spend with me. Then when I got up on the weekend, go pick up, the woman tell my son, well, when I go on my weekend, you know the day. Then she tell him, see, I never gonna pick you up. But I mean that crazy.
On you.
Yeah. So that lead tricky things when they play. And this particular person still right every now and again say I am an abuser. And I read it and I shake my head and I say, you know what? We all know it. Yeah, better and him get in that then there again. And I want to respond again, you know. So
Mr. Mike. Same thing, right? All right. And I came from an abused home too, you understand? Not abused, but growing back home in the 80s was tough. Back to Belize. And I started when I talk then still lashing at school.
Listen, if they had laws back then when they had no latany, old people are in a jail.
Yes, all right.
Because they're cruel, boy.
Yes, cruel. All right. These are just from me now. So now me having kids, you understand me? And what I conscious in my household, Mr. Mike, I noticed I start taking it out of my kids. You understand me? When I had to catch myself now. You understand me? When I catch myself, they're like, wait. No, man. This wrong.
Yeah.
You understand me?
That's why you have to check. You have to look for yourself and check.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
But I tell you though, while you're at that, because this is a very important point here too. We have allowed the pendulum to swing too far to the other side. While we are not as abusive as the old folks were, we get them a sense of entitlement where we try getting everything when they want. You see? So where you say that
They spile. That's the way they say.
Inspire. But now, if you and if you say that you are you here we go. It's unfortunate if you try to take it out, panel, but you've caught that obviously, and you could work on that
Yes.
and fix it. My
Mr.
brother, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We
they-
seem to have had some glitches.
Well, at least we straighten it out and you're in. So I don't want to think so that we take out all out a lot of we show for that show. I have to start later. You see? See why? All right.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
me and my brother. Respect
All right.
every time. Folks, I imagine we've been live, or we are live all the while, and we're just going live now. Anyway, then God, me and you in the show here, Mr. Morrison.
Well, thank you, sir.
Let me first of all give you the opportunity to properly introduce yourself. I know you as Gregory Morrison. We're Facebook friends. I don't know that we've ever met personally. Do you remember us meeting?
No, I don't think we have met. I left Belize when I was like 17 years old, and so I've been here in the
That's about 5 years. 5 years ago, no? But no, so you're in America quite some time, obviously.
Yes, it's been like 43 years.
Wow, have you've come back often though?
Oh yeah. I've made trips. I haven't made a trip since my father passed away some years ago, so that was like the last time.
Okay. Well, if you had it to do all over again, would you still make the move? Would you have made the move earlier or later?
Well, I would have made it a little bit later. I made it specifically at that time. The purpose was to further my education. I thought that was necessary. It wasn't available to me in Belize at the time.
Unfortunately,
And so that was my main goal. And then it also had the opportunity of helping my family financially, since I was the oldest child at home. And that was a big part of why I made that decision to come. Like most Belizean or many Belizean, when they come at that age, it's like on a vacation trip, and then the opportunity was there. I stayed with my cousin, and I said, well, first I stayed with my aunt in New York, spent like a year there. Then I moved down to California, and the opportunity was there to further my education and find a job and go to school. So
and you did seize those opportunities.
Yes, those were I was able to build myself a career as an electrical engineer, and have been working in that field for the last 40 years.
Wow! So you got a lot of expertise.
I have developed quite a bit, and I've worked on varying number of type of projects in the United States. I worked a little bit in England because I was stationed there for a period of time, and so I've had what I consider a wide experience in all type of building engineering project, infrastructure type project.
Are you retired yet?
I'm looking at that in a couple of years. My daughter, my youngest daughter, is in college right now. She's doing her graduate work, and she at the university in San Diego. And I am planning that when she makes that final next year this time and walk that stage and get her graduate degree, that I'll be free to do some of the things I want to do.
When the nest is empty. But,
yes.
But of course, unfortunately, what usually happens is then the grandchildren start coming along, and that many times the grandparents take that more of a responsibility than they did for the children themselves. Do you find that there's that bond?
Yes, my wife seems to think that, but I'm thinking that the way I want to do it is probably spend half the time, move to a state that's like Florida or Houston or someplace like that. That's a one stop over to Belize, right? And be able to spend half the time in Belize and half the time here, and so they'll get half of me, I guess.
Well, I followed you on Facebook, and apparently, while you're in the States, your heart seems to still be very much in Belize. Would you say that is a true statement?
That is very true. That is very true. You never lose the love for Belize and the desire to to be back there and with the people and
Well, some do. Some do. Let's be real.
Well,
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah. So
You
you can speak like that, and that I'm proud of you. That's good,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's like your mother, your country where you're born. That's who you are, And many of us go through the phase of wanting to distance ourselves from that. We go to America and we want to become Americans, and then we kind of like let go of our roots but you can't. And
Well, it's like cutting off a hand or a foot or something like that. If you end up doing that, you'll remain handicapped through your entire life if you dare to do that. I would say. But for some people, walking with crutches seems to be
all right. No,
life,
yeah. Well, for some of us, it'd be like cutting out our hearts because we love the country. Now, are you thinking about maybe because and we go jump into that diaspora aspect, because I believe that there are many people in the diaspora with lots of experience and expertise that can do a lot for us in Belize if we let them. Let's put that caveat there, because we have to be able to accommodate them, and so far we haven't been doing so. What's your take on that?
Well, that is true. I remember at some point when I have kind of participated from time to time in different things in Belize. I remember there was a early stage when Quan Engineering was like working on KHMH. That's many years ago, but they were working on that, and I gave them some initial design as to some of the things to consider that we look at globally or mainly in the United States in designing hospitals and infrastructures like that, So, and also I did some things like that when they were doing this central bank. I gave them some initial schematic design.
Was that pro bono, or did you do that or did you get paid for your contribution?
I got some money, but it wasn't like
not what it was worth. Not what it was.
I got some money that covered some of my costs because I had to prepare documents, ship them. Some of the expertise I'd used to develop some of the things were other people. I don't do mechanical engineering and plumbing engineering, and the aspect of the schematic report we had prepared was complete for the entire building infrastructure. So I had to get some expertise from some plumbing and some mechanical engineers on those. So I got the money to cover the costs for those and for shipping and things like that. But that's how we work for Belize. That's how we put our heart out there and try to make the best, because it's a developing country. It has lots of needs and it has lots of expertise. If they find some way, a strategic way of leaning on people to help them with that type of expertise, I'm sure there are many people step up like I did at that time. We also did some work. I remember they were doing this desalinization plant in San Pedro, and I wrote some documents on the power infrastructure to support that type of project. So
did they make use of that that expertise that you offered? Because many times we get it and we didn't make use of it.
Well, I don't know how much it was actually implemented in it, but I did my part.
Right.
Whether they used it, and I hope they did. I hope they did.
It'd be nice for you to one day go and see what exactly they did with what you offered, and if they didn't use it, then what did not go right that could have gone better, if you will.
Yeah.
But I see also that you're somewhat of a philanthropist. You sent us a little assistance. I remember, did you build a seesaw or something for us? Wasn't that for the Charlie Burton Park?
I don't remember what I did. I had sent some funds to take care of some stuff, and I donated some.
I think you sent some sneakers and stuff. Yeah. But thank you very much for that, and you'll be happy to know that we're going strong.
I look at it and I admire your effort and your vision to try and satisfy a need.
Yes, I think that's it. Yeah, I'd like to see it copied, emulated in other neighborhoods.
Yes.
Where because there are many people in a lot of neighborhoods that are retired,
Mhm.
not doing anything. In fact, Belize in particular have a lot of people that's not doing anything, but it don't seem that they're willing to give without getting. Many people have this idea that when I get, I'll give, not understanding that to get, you have to give. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
you can't reap the fruit if you don't plant the tree. So you have to do something. And I believe that's basically what I've tried to do, is show, because I didn't want to come to people and say, boy, I got this idea, help me make it happen.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to do something and then come and say, we're doing something, help us to make it grow or help
yeah.
us to make it continue. And I think it's working that way, no?
Yeah, and as I look at it, I could see it seems like you expanded it, and I see always the attendance of when you have events, how well
Oh man,
attended it is.
it's yes, it is,
And
and it's made use of. That's what I can say,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
it has made a big difference in the whole neighborhood actually.
Mhm.
And we have kids from all over, We have kids from that side that come over
And
and hang with us.
that brings back the community we had at one time,
I think
and it's a
so. I
safe
think so.
zone.
Yeah.
It's a safe zone for people to gather. They know that nobody's going, with all that's going on in the city.
I don't want to make you turn it wrong for me, because we're not talking about me, we're talking about you. But I just want to say I was very proud a couple of weeks ago when we had for a couple of weeks we had a team of Spanish guys come in and they
Mhm.
played, and no problem. We've been here going on 6-7 years now, and we've had just a wonderful and I say. And said, we're changing name to G Mike. I said, no, we're changing name, but we're changing name to Charlie Burton Peace Park, because it
Yes,
certainly has been a
yes,
peaceful experience and we like it.
yes.
So I'm going to deal with you now.
Okay,
What
okay.
are you, because your expertise, obviously, and see what was telling me that you have ideas of introducing more solar concepts to Belize.
Yeah,
Do you work
yes.
in that field?
Yeah, that's one of the things I think about when I think about Belize. I realize that we have this abundance of sunlight that we make very little
Oh
use
man,
of.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I think I looked at some of the statistics recently, and less than 1% of energy is generated from solar electricity in Belize. It seems wasteful to me, with the cost of solar panels and the technology. It seems that probably every home should have, a solar capability. It has that capability, and it should be utilized. It doesn't have to be maxed out. It could just be a little bit. It would help in many ways. It will help the utility company. It will help your family budget, and it will help the environment. You see.
But
So
what effect will it have on the business end of that? When I say that, Belize electricity makes a lot of money, and people don't just give up money like that.
well, you for that you don't necessarily always look to the utility company to be the driving force. You
I
need
guess
to
you
have,
can't, because if they
yeah,
think they're going to lose any, they're not going to
yeah,
drive
yeah.
it.
And they will not lose. They will not lose, because in the end, what solar electricity will do is just prevent them from it'll allow them to leverage. It'll make it not necessary to build more diesel plant, because even the electric company has the opportunity to generate power from solar electricity. Right now, Belize does a pretty good job in diversifying, and I think half of their energy is from diesel generating plant, and through their process of how they get it, either through Mexico or they have local generation capacity. And the other half comes from renewable energy, which is very good. In Belize, it is outstanding what they have done in terms of renewable energy. What they have not done is make sufficient use of solar electricity. They have the hydroelectric plants. They have some bioenergy capability, and they also have some ecothermal energy capability in Belize that they're utilizing to make up the mix of the total energy generating capacity, which I think, if I remember correctly, is about 180 or 204 MVA.
But what you're saying, we could do much more than we're doing.
We could do much more,
and it'd be more cost efficient.
That's correct. That's correct. So, and I don't think that it would hurt the revenue
Light company.
of the power company. It will just change the mix of that, and it helps the environment. And that's where we have to do. And so I think that probably they should start putting in some type of legislations that new constructions that they're doing for homes and businesses have integrated into it some component to have the ability to develop and not explore only, but to utilize and implement solar technology, so that once they get ready to do it, if you start putting the infrastructure, which is basically conduits and pull boxes and stuff and things like that, it will help. It will help. And what it does. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And what it does is by putting that infrastructure, it allows it easier decision to the owner or developer of those property to say, oh, I have available some solar panels now. Let me take that, because they're not starting from scratch to think of how to actually implement it into the building that's already constructed. So I think that some type of legislation that sort of look at having building what we call in the United States and in the work that I do, solar ready, So
let me touch on one aspect of that. We had 2 lights. We have them in the park now.
Mm-hmm.
One went out. One still works to some degree, but looks like it's on the way out. The knock against that I've heard, the criticism is that the batteries are expensive and they don't last long. How do you solve that problem?
Well, that sort of solar that you're mentioning there is different than what I'm thinking of generating using. There's two ways.
You're not going to use. You're not going to use a battery then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there are 2 ways of doing solar electricity. If you're doing off-grid type capability, or you're doing storage capability, then you would have battery systems, right?
Right.
So what that means is while the system is charging, during the day, the system is charging batteries for usage at some other time when the sun is not shining or such. That is one way of doing solar. The way I'm thinking of it is more what we call net usage. And that means when you're generating during the day, right, from your individual usage connected to the infrastructure of the utility company, it's feeding energy back into that system so that it reduces their total generating capacity needs.
Well, how do you store it? What happens at night?
Well, I'm not talking about off-grid. I'm not talking about off-grid installation, right? That means that the solar electricity you are generating is going back to the utility company, is fed back into the utility company infrastructure, and so it reduces the total amount of electricity they need to generate to satisfy the demand in the neighborhood.
Oh, so what you're saying is that you don't use your solar for your direct use.
That's correct.
We just generate the solar and send it to the company, and they then distribute it as they're doing now.
That's correct.
Would that result in a lower cost, you believe, to the consumers?
Yes, it does, because it means that they credit you for what you generate and put back onto their grid system during the periods when you're generating. So it's called a net zero generating.
Greg, we heard this argument when they were putting in the Chalila Dam, when they were putting in the other dam. I forget what that name.
I think they have like 4 or 5 of them in Belize.
Yes, and then they were talking about even generating fuel from Cahoon. They were talking about marketing, getting people to do it and market it. But what we have not seen any reduction. It has always been an increase. How can we trust these people now? They will tell me, well, if we do this, if you invest in this, you're going to get lower costs. But it has proven time and time again that that's not what happens.
Well, an aggregate cost doesn't go down, it goes up, but the rate of rise is what is critical. If you don't have those type of capability augmenting the total supply, the overall cost will go up much faster. So I'm not saying that all, some people, they say, if I do this, I'll get a cost reduction, but
Right.
it's not always a specific cost reduction. But what it should do is prevent the aggregate costs from rising at what it would have otherwise been without the supplementing of these other technology methods. So on the net zero, that's what that does. It puts the energy you generate back into the utility system, and you are supposed to then get a credit for what you put in. So, and let's say, I think in Belize the energy cost is like 22 cents per kilowatt hour, which is much higher than most of the Central American countries, because a lot of them have some type of fuel energy that they have, like Mexico, and then have oils and stuff. Belize doesn't have, or they had very little, and I think they kind of
gave it all away.
But so that's what would help if they put it back in that system in that manner.
But why not then me just put a couple of panels on my roof and feed my house directly? Because I know they do that in some instances, and then whatever excess you have, then you sell that to the company.
Well, that is one method, but usually you do that when you're what you call an off-grid installation. Usually when you're in a village and there's no electricity going to your area. I think in Belize that's not too much. I think there's only like 7% of the country still remains without electrical infrastructure, power infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So but let's say someone in a village, right? They can put some solar panels on their roof, put some battery systems there, right? And then they could power some lights and probably a small refrigerator and a few items from that, and have electricity that they wouldn't normally otherwise have, right?
Which so for most of them is all they need. That's how many of them need, actually.
Yes. Yes. But what I'm talking of is that and that's called, that is when you're not connected to the utility grid, right? But when you're connected to the utility grid, the only way the utility company, I'm not quite sure about Belize, but in the United States here, the only way they allow you to do it is to do what they call, what I was explaining as net zero, where you connect to their system, you get the normal, because under legislation, if you're in a city, you cannot have your residence or whatever, not the local city jurisdictions will not give you a license or a permit to construct your building if you don't have a utility power source connecting to your building. Do you follow what I'm saying?
They won't let you use a solar system
as a standalone and remain not connected to the utility source. No, you have to connect.
What's the rationale behind that? I mean, just
it's because they have a monopoly. They have a monopoly of
it's all about money. It's money at the end of the day.
I think it's that. But because what would happen, well, I don't want to go into what would happen. It's kind of obvious what would happen with some people that want to generate their own electricity and have a specific advantage, like paper mill companies and like that. Some companies like that, they generate a lot of their own electricity through some of the byproducts of the processes of what they do. And so they had some concessions to work a little bit off the grid, but they still had that connections. But they found out that they were not, in fact, contributing to the utility company, but what they were using in the public utility connection, they were getting credit. But usually when you get credit back, it's at a less. So if like in Belize, you pay 22 cents per kilowatt hour. But what they would offer you in return when you put your solar panels and pump it back into the grid is probably about 13 cents or 12 cents, So you're already at a disadvantage, but it means that you're still getting from that 13 cents a benefit that you wouldn't otherwise be getting if you did not have those solar panels.
What do you see for the future as far as that what you were talking about here and Belize? Is there a possibility? Are you speaking to anybody? Are there other people that could work along with you and maybe bring this to fruition? Can it happen?
Well, the way I've been thinking of it is not on a big scale of BTL or anything like that. But I was thinking that what I would like to do is once I in a couple of years when I get there, that I would like to work with some of the residences and do just what I was saying. Allow them to have local solar power generating capability for themselves that will somewhat defray some of their costs by tying to the grid, so that if you could generate so many kilowatts on your based on your roof coverage and number of panels that you're able to install, then instead of your light bill being $200 a month, it might be $75 a month.
Let's start with the Charlie Burton Park. We need some lights in the field, and in fact, I like I said, we had 2 lights that worked well for a while, and I'm they were pretty bright too. I'm wondering why they don't have more street lights with solar.
Well, that's something.
What's the drawback on that?
Well, I don't think they'll put street lights too much because of the same issue you mentioned as a sole source in a developed community part of the main road thoroughfare. They could probably put it in isolated areas where it is nice to have light, but it's not essential to have.
They don't need it all night as such
yes,
either.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yeah. Because they're the panels, they're susceptible if they're not maintained, they're not cleaned, specifically in those little small examples you showed of a pole with a light and a solar panel on it. Those are nice to have. They're great, and they kind of help us in areas where we don't have connectivity for electricity.
But they don't last long.
They don't last long. They're
and the maintenance, I imagine, is high.
Yeah, and you imagine those things are a little cheap Korean or Japanese or Chinese built things. They're relatively
cheap, but the batteries aren't. The batteries seem to be the cost.
The batteries probably cost almost as much as the fixtures.
Correct. They nearly give the light. Yeah,
the battery. And as I said, those are ideal for isolated areas, and they provide light that's for sometimes. And then one of the things that they're very susceptible from is vibration. So a lot of times you notice they're on slim pole. I don't know if they are in the case of your park.
Yes, about a 3-inch pole.
And if people just keep hitting it, the vibration seems to have quite an effect on the durability of them. And that's something they're finding out more and more as they get deployed in different areas, that vibration has a big impact on the longevity of those type of installations.
Interesting. Now, I hear you speak of your children. Obviously, you're proud of your children. You're a family man.
Yes.
Married for how long?
Oh, man. I was married before, and I had a son and a daughter, and then I got divorced. And my oldest son, he's what, 39, I think, 39.
Oh, okay. Grown man.
Yeah, he's a grown man with his family, and I have a grandson. And then I had a daughter that passed away, and the circumstances of her death was pretty sad. It was a suicide, and I don't often talk about it, and this is the first time I'm mentioning it in like.
Wow, man, but that's rough.
Yes.
I imagine that shook you up somewhat. No,
you never quite get over. You never get over it. Not quite. You never.
Well, and let me mention it now because the guy who you spoke to, CY. His situation where his wife was killed a while ago, and I'm sure that the trauma of that, man, is unbearable. You can only imagine that. You don't know what a person truly feels until you have to go through it yourself, and you need just pray God that you don't have to. So I feel the current marriage though is doing well, I suppose.
Who?
The current marriage,
yes. Well, you hope it's strong. You hope it's strong. You do everything. And I have a daughter that's at in San Diego doing her graduate degree, and hopefully she's only 22, so I'm very, very proud of her. You know,
Wonderful,
she
wonderful.
works hard, and she
No,
got,
no police had to come for you yet. No domestic violence. I don't know if you saw the previous
no,
show,
no.
but they were really talking about the domestic violence thing.
Yes.
And let me pull you into Ali. Let's segue here a bit.
Okay.
Nora Parham, the
Yes.
pardon for Nora Parham. How what's your thoughts on that?
You know, you have to always look at the history of things, right? That's how I kind of view these kind of issues, and for the family, you could only feel the satisfaction they got from having this bit of weight lift off them, that there was some level of injustice in what happened, right?
But that is, first of all, presuming that there was injustice in
Well, what I'm saying is, I think everyone is clear that she did.
I don't think so. I am not.
Okay. Well,
So,
I'm saying,
yeah.
From how the court proceeding is, right? We whatever we do is reflection on what was told to us or given to us. From what I understand is that at the time of the trial, it was evident that she had in fact committed the crime, right? And correct. She was found guilty for that crime.
Right.
The way the execution may have been carried out, not considering the circumstances.
You think there were extenuating circumstances that led to her doing it?
That is quite possibly. That is quite possibly.
Well, let me tie you down on this, because don't you think we're opening up a can of worms here? For instance, if you're going to say that she was abused, so it's okay, and she should have been able to kill the man and get away with it, because that's what we're saying now.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that generally I don't believe too much in capital punishment. That's just my personal value system. Right?
How do you believe in corporal punishment? Let's go in schools and whatnot.
No, I don't believe that
people
should be hitting other people for no reason.
Gregory.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying.
Well, no. You're saying it shouldn't happen.
I'm saying it should not happen.
But don't you think we've allowed this pendulum to swing too far to the other side, where children were being abused too? I mean, never forget the spouse abuse. Children were being abused when we were growing up. I know some kids where you had to kneel down on a grater, get whipped with electric wire. I got a few of those. Soak the nylon rope in the water, and when it gets stiff, that they'll get whapped with.
Yeah.
But we've taken that and gone to the other extreme, where everybody now, it's a sense of entitlement. You can get away with what you want to. You can speak to your parents how you want to. I've heard some children answer their parent, where I tell you, I would have been getting up off the floor.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the solution is to hit someone.
How do we strike that middle ground, though? Because if really, I'm gonna tell you what, I didn't do it too many times.
Mm-hmm.
After I got knocked down the first time, I knew next time that I would not answer my parent like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a deterrent, and this is the whole concept behind. I was reading something a brilliant writer wrote, and he said, and in fact, it might have been Khalil Gibran, I'm not sure, but probably not. He said that if we were to dissolve society and everybody was to go their own way, the last murderer in prison would have to be executed, because we would then all be guilty of the crime that was committed by not addressing it. Mm-hmm. Now, you follow where I go with this, because there has to be a deterrent. Punishment is not only, and we've gotten to the point now where we say, all right, we want the prison system to be not just punishment, but rehabilitation. We want to get these people to re-enter society as productive citizens, which is all good and well. That, I mean, it's
but we know that's not possible for everyone. We know that not everyone within that is a criminal is capable of having rehabilitation, right? We know that there are some people that they're just fixed in some way in their brain, that they They're
Is
going
it
to harm other people. They're going to
is it
harm other
is it in
people.
their brain or is it in their behavior, their upbringing, the environment?
Well, I think after your environment, it affects your entire makeup, and it affects your brain, the way your brain is structured. So it's not that they're crazy. It's just that they're in their consciousness of how they evaluate things. They feel okay to do wrong and to be violent and to have no sense of remorse. So I'm not saying they're crazy and that they should just be
Well,
walking
that sounds like
away.
crazy to me, but I know what you're saying. I mean, there's some people who have no sense of right and wrong.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes.
and,
And
and
it's go ahead.
and it's not a choice. It's that's the way they are.
And
How-
probably never was taught about right or wrong. Because as I look and I see many of the things going on in Belize, especially with some of the young men, it occurs to me, and even some of the mothers and dads, it occurs to me that it's a course that has gone wrong for many generations, and that there's no sense of guilt, there's no sense of empathy, there's no sense of I'm doing something wrong. And how that happens, it bothers me. It does, but it seems clear that they don't realize that what they're doing is not right.
But
And
let me share one little thing with you, because when I was with the police, I had proposed to them that we have a class for first-time mothers. There is no manual for life. We know that. There's no blueprint as such. But there are people who have raised children successfully. Take you and your wife. You have raised some children, and you don't have you have any wayward. There are none of them in prison, right?
No, I've never had the police knock on the door and say they're
yeah,
looking
I
for
come
any
for
of
this
them.
one. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
Yeah.
So, but I told them, well, we need this class for first-time mothers, because then we would take some of the mothers that have successfully raised some children, and maybe give some tips as to what they did, because obviously they did something right, and those who are raising these bad children are doing something wrong. And they said, all right, it's a fine idea. So they came up with a program, but they put a person in charge who had 8 children. 4 were killed by gunshot, and the next 4 in prison. And I'm saying this has to be crazy, because they merged it with a grieving mothers kind of thing. And they say, all right, well, we're going to do this sudden, but we're going to merge this with this for whatever reason. And I'm saying, how can you do that? Because you're defeating the purpose. You're not giving them
You're looking for success, and we're not following the path for success.
Obviously. So you know that one tough thing.
You know, that's when politics and not a conscious way of moving forward is the play. If you're just looking at trying to truly solve the problems, then you make a different approach. But a lot of times we see that people and things are done just to kind of create a political opportunity.
Okay.
And that's where the whole thing falls apart.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I want to touch a bit, and we're going into a little overtime here, and I'm sure see why you're going to allow with this, because it cut me short, and not your fault. I mean that you couldn't get on.
Yeah.
Politics. How do you see it? Where do you see it going? Is it working the way it should? Is there something that we should be doing that we're not doing, whether as electorate or as politicians?
You know, often I totally believe in the premise that you get the government you elect, and you get the government you deserve. And I know that's a tough thing, and so people have arguments about that, and it's not always true, even though I say that.
Well, it's not true for everybody, but it certainly is true.
Because
it's basically a consensus. All the people, the majority decide this is who you want. Why they didn't make that decision, whether they were paid for it or not.
Exactly.
Which is why I'm not sure that universal suffrage was such a very good idea. Because you, as a man that went to school and you did your work and you said, your vote is canceled by a crackhead who sell his for $10. There's something wrong in that, don't you think?
There definitely is something wrong, and that's where we need to have personal accountability, and that doesn't come overnight. But I still, in general, believe in the principle of the individual. I believe that the individual, even when he's wrong, right, he has the chance of correcting his mistake more than a totalitarian or dictatorship type of government. So I would rather that
representation. We need to be represented.
Yes, yes,
and democracy, as Churchill would say, is a very bad system, but the best that we have.
Yes, because it gives us a choice, right? It gives us a choice.
Yeah, but that might be man's downfall, that choice that we have been given, and we always seem to make the wrong choice. And if we could go by instinct like the animals do, we might be in a better. But then let's not. We're going out philosophical then, and we don't want to go that deep into this today. We don't got the time.
Right.
But how you? What about Shine? How you see him as a future for Belize, a leader?
Well, he seems like a very able young man. I don't hold against him too much his past that he had encountered in America, because we know we can only estimate that there's extenuating circumstances why he may have been the fall guy.
And you speak about that possibility of change that we all can go through, and
yes,
the opportunity we should be given.
I believe from what I've seen, you never know the heart of a person, right?
Yeah.
But from what I've seen of him, he seems very able. He seems focused. He's
well spoken. He seems to me not the genius as far as speaking that his father is, because his father is a man. That boy is awesome.
Yeah.
But he seems to be able to hold his own. He's cool under pressure, under questioning, and so he's not. There's potential. There's potential.
Yeah. So that's what I look at for in him. I say, and he seems very amiable to be willing to entertain other ideas, even from opposition, or from the government when he's in opposition, or from the opposition when they were government. So
unless it's a show, no? Unless it's a show, it could be very.
That's what I said. I don't know his heart. I don't know.
We're all actors, actually.
Yeah,
we can put off a good show.
And politicians are usually the best, right?
Oh boy, don't they? They study it. There's a school somewhere that they go to for that.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that he'll continue on the path that he's going. He seems capable, and he seems that he would be one of the modern type of politician that could, if he continue on the path of righteousness,
and if his heart is right.
Yes, that could make a difference for Belize. I saw him hardworking in his division. I heard some kind of disturbing things, and that makes you kind of worry at times. But we're all human. We all have certain level of fault in us, and we can't measure whose is bigger. We just have to look at us in complete and say, is there a possibility?
And certain level of tolerance, obviously. You seem to be displaying much of that, but I like that. I was scrolling through your page, and I saw something that you posted from St. Lucia, where they were thinking about incorporating, and what I found interesting was the spelling different, but pronunciation practically the same of Creole, right?
Yes.
How do you see that? Should we, because and Silvana, who's my cousin, had wrote that Creole dictionary, and was trying to standardize the spelling and whatnot of the Creole dialect. How do you see us approaching that and maybe incorporating that into our educational system?
Go ahead.
Should we or shouldn't we?
No, I think we should. The idea is that most young children, they said you learn, especially at that early age between going to school at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, into the primary, elementary levels. You learn best in your native language, right?
Yeah. Well,
So I do believe you should. What I'm saying, they shouldn't totally discourage the use of it. Like I remember when I was in school, if you say something in Creole, the teacher would say, "How do you say that in English?" And that's the practice you get. But they didn't prohibit it, and so and to kind of accept it and to kind of educate children in it and formalize it, I think will not harm us. I think it will broaden and give us a sense of empowerment and culture. But can we go everywhere speaking Creole and think that it will be acceptable and we'll find success? No.
Right.
But to just totally stamp it out and think that we should not do it and we should not formalize it and institutionalize it in some ways that brings about a more complete person and more sensitive to our individual status in the society and culture, I think is not a good road to travel. So
well, it's not we can't expect that it'll help us to communicate with different people, certainly with the English speaking part
Right.
of it. But I think the objective is to create a good human being. And
Yes.
if they will learn better through the use of that Creole which they speak at home, then by all means maybe we should take that road. No.
Yes.
But I found the article interesting, and I thought I'd bring it up to you today. One more thing. Let's do two. Should we elect the prime minister as we speak of shine and what could possibly be, because to come as a part of the party, he has to bring the whole crowd along with him.
Yes,
and
yes.
many times one man might impress you, but the rest,
Yes,
really.
yes.
So should we maybe think about electing a prime minister? And how do you feel about the Queen and the money? Should we follow Jamaica and Barbados?
Well, I think at some point we need that would require a constitutional change.
Yes, but then we
do
made
that.
constitutional changes for more frivolous things.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't see that being a hindrance as such.
Yeah.
We can make a constitutional change. We're an independent country, and maybe we should start thinking like that.
Yeah.
We could do that if we want to,
Yes, we
without
can.
making wholesale changes.
Mhm.
And speaking of that, the Constitution, should we throw it out? Should we rewrite it? What do you think?
Well, I believe that probably we should be making that change to have an elected prime minister, even if we don't get rid of the Queen or any of those kind of things. That should be a necessity. I think it would broaden the appeal of the country, and it would make more even development across the country, because then the prime minister would in himself be accountable, him or her would in themselves
Personally,
be accountable to the entire nation, right? Right now, the prime minister is accountable to a party.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Like the commissioner of police, actually. I think the commissioner of police should be elected also and be accountable to the people. I think if we go with the elected prime minister, he wouldn't be it possible for him to buy all the votes out there. So that wouldn't be a route that he could travel.
Exactly.
So I think that would cut down, because the area representatives can do that. They can go to the
Right.
people in their area
Right.
and buy them out, if you will. For the prime minister to buy out the whole country would be seem almost unrealistic.
And
So
that's why I think it would have more even development, because having that accountability across the entire, because if we look at it, we could see areas of our country, how areas that had some strategic advantages didn't develop as they should, because the focus was somewhere else. And
yeah, even now, I mean, we see a lot of people believe that focus is placed on the east, Orange Walk area, or in the north, where the prime minister comes from.
Yes.
And for a long time, they felt that it was being in Belize City, where the prime minister normally came from.
Yes.
That is a kind of like something that's not too productive and constructive there. So maybe it might be.
And to answer the other question about the dollar and this stuff, I think at some point, I think it's okay to get rid of the Queen if a vast majority of people believe that is what's needed, and if that will help us. I don't know quite yet.
For what it's worth, I don't think that we should until we settle this Guatemala claim.
That was going to be my point. That was going to be exactly
that's big on there, right?
Yeah.
The ICJ, huh? Did you vote yes or no?
I was no.
Do you still hold firm on to that, or do you believe that maybe the sky has not fallen?
I work with the majority of people. If the majority of people said yes,
too.
then I'm going to go with it, because we are all in this now together to have a correct outcome
Right,
benefits the
right.
least.
And the only
Um,
way we're going to do it is to
my
unify.
objection to it was not so much that I am totally objecting to it was the manner in which it was carried out, how the government managed the referendum and how they presented it to the people, and the fact that there was some, I don't remember the whole issue with it, but there was some things going on that I thought kind of prohibited the full disclosure of what was going on. I thought, for example, some of the agreement we had at that time with Guatemala, some of the adjacency zone kind of thing and confidence building measures and some of those things needed to be kind of pulled back. I wanted to make sure that if we go the route of ICJ, that the court would not come back and say, "Oh, you already gave up this little bit," and since and kind of settle on that. Okay, they own this extra 2 miles of our country or something of that sort because you had already made that.
Well, the argument has been had. So, and we've reached a consensus. We decided we're going. So I agree with you. Now we have to just close ranks and go as one country.
Yes.
Unfortunately, some people don't, and every now and again, somebody keep the inject something to kind of like suggest, oh, see this that will happen if you're not good at the ICJ, or when you're good at the ICJ.
Well, that's fine too. Because sometimes I do that. I
was talking about you, Charlie. No.
Sometimes there are cases that we see that happens, but unfortunately, what I've been seeing with the ruling of the ICJ, they have been pretty consistent in not disrupting and taking away territory from other countries that they have long established. Right? So that just looking at it from that perspective, it seems to have been consistent. I haven't seen in any of their recent rulings where they have taken territory from one country. And we know there are lots of countries that have border dispute within our hemisphere: Nicaragua, Guyana. There are lots of countries that have some type, and I've seen that the ICJ have been consistent in respecting those historical claims of occupation and sovereignty.
And I believe we have lots of grounds for our case. If they're only squatters' rights, we've been here that long, and it can't disrupt that. It wouldn't be wise, and I don't think any other country would want to see it happen. We're looking at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, of course.
Yeah, that's devastating, isn't it?
But we look at that, and my concern is that usually with things like that, when the focus goes over there and there's none over here, you never know what somebody might. So maybe we need to keep our eyes open, no? But
yes.
Greg, it's been an honor, man. We have to, all good things come to an end.
I had one poem I wanted to say to you.
Well, I wasn't going to let you go without making a know where you really where we do. No, the background now is a whole lot background now is 1 minute.
Hold the phone. Well, take it off. Can you take it off? Take it off.
Yeah, Greg, go ahead.
Yeah,
hold on.
I wrote this little poem about Kobo. He was a legend in Belize in the 60s and stuff.
I know him? Yeah.
And so it goes: Kobo, dirty white man with the milk pan, with coins he gets for free. Saw my mom's fire and came to see. Oh, he glee. Powder bun he sees, just in time for tea. Oh, could I please have 1, 2, maybe 3 for my tea? Can I heat my cup on your heart? So be. With his Cockney accent and that in pocket, he shuffled and said, thanks, and off he be. Kobo, dirty white man with the milk pan, with things he get for free. Let him be.
Well, that's it. But tell me something though. Do you believe that Kobo was a Scotland Yard agent looking for a criminal?
No, I don't really believe.
He would have been putting on a hell of a act, wouldn't he? I used to see him butt naked in a drain the bed. He used to come by our house. He had a style when thing again. In fact, after I became aware of libation, I realized that he was doing that consistently. He always poured out and leave it first before he took what he may get. And I used to find that funny. I said, well, in the gear something, I had to throw it away before you do it. But obviously, there's some kind of ritual that he was following there.
Yes.
Now interesting that you should bring up Kobo, and certainly a part of my early bringing, because he used to do the same thing. Come to
Yes.
our house every day almost,
Yes.
come in there, and he knew he could get at least something to eat,
Yes.
no?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Which
Yes.
goes back to the good old days when we had,
Yes.
when regardless of how little we had, there always seemed to be enough for
To
somebody
share.
who came by and wanted a little and
Yes.
didn't have enough, right?
Yes.
My
Yes.
brother, it has been a pleasure, an honor, and I hope we get to meet soon and talk
Yeah.
some more, right?
Thank you very much, and thanks for
Respect,
having me.
and say hi to the family for me, right?
Be
My
well.
brother. CY, take it away.
Yes,
G
bless
Mike is
up.
out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
thanks, guys. Thanks,
Remember,
guys.
I remember, guys. CY show is coming on next. It's still getting musical guests, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We try to
All
plug
right.
them in the same thing, like we had a little glitch on with Mr. G. It's the same thing happening over here. I'm telling them not to give up. I'm telling
Well,
others, you know
listen.
what I mean? We don't give up over here. You know that, G.
So no, they're not Gregory fault. You mean they blame Gregory all along, but
No,
they're not
I
Greg
want them to
fault.
break at all. You hear Mr. G? Mr. G, you hear Mr. G? You hear Mr. G?
Anyway,
You hear Mr.
yeah,
G?
listen, but yeah, man, you work it out for sure. And remember, this is not perfect science, you know.
Yes, sir.
And Murphy's law, that son of a bitch is always present, boy. Busy. Murphy is boy. If I ever meet that boy in a dark alley, done and tell you the truth. Guys, respect. Next week we'll see you same time, same place.
One love.
G Mike is out.
One love all
Yeah,
day.
man.
One love all day. Yeah, that was quite enjoyable for me, man. You know what I mean? I like listening to these dudes when they drop science. You understand, Mr. G? Yeah, yeah. All right, so make us swear to go on now. You swear to go on, run out two with them on thing as the beat. Run out two with him. While with the vibes up, vibe. Your boss, Shannon, try come on, man. Boy, I look at something and just the vibes, you know. Just the vibes, you know. Yeah. You lock off the regular thing. With the bunk straight off. With the bunk straight off to the Sea Smoke only show. Sea Smoke. Musical explosion. And we jump on the YouTube, Ballistic Recording, Sea Smoke, Facebook, alright? So you see we log off for Facebook, you know, if you go check we subscribe to the YouTube channel too, don't know what's happening. Yeah. Respect to Mr. G, respect to Miss Arlette and Jacqueline, yeah. And Mr. Morrison. Oh. And alright, skip space dot. We come for here, Team Big Bubble. With the model. What? Well, boss life, my boss. Permission, she stay permission. Hey, I'm kissing that. Oh, joke. What's what the lad do? You have a pre-record CD. Yeah, that's what we are doing. See a pre-record CD. So because your PC time is very, 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 very tied up right now, boy. Big thing. Respect one team, big. I'm Daddy Big. What's this smoking, eh? We know the mumble, grumble, or fumble. Right quick. Hotter than water from a kettle. Because if I go turn up the volume for anything, you know. You done with the money, say. That's the Mars right now. That's the Mars transition over the thing. I got I got a great with Shana, man. Oh, make a little bit talk smoke, please. A little talk. A little talk. Baling babaling. But Julia, I have to call Julia too. Julia must be busy too. Baling Baba.
Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint,
Just give me a minute,
hold
on. Did you know to the money say? Master Rastical 2 160, super lyrical, don't know. Team Biggs that jazzy that I think I know what's done. All the DJ they can everybody have to eat. But the thing that's something about something, I don't know about nothing better. You know what I'm saying? I want to eat, just make I eat, that's how I tell the car that then everything come in, you know what I mean? But anyway, as we flow, I want to respect you to Anne brother, Anne sister, eh? Chucky, Roland, Kitty, Stu, Bullet. You know what I mean? Smokey, how you song now, Smokey? Can't do this.
They're gonna do it like Charge, back it up in the garage, make them know the squad living large. Hold a salute every sarge. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again.
Pull up. OG beat that track, yeah, watch out. Yeah. When time. Fusion will be the place. Well, make a run up something for on the wall with the chill. Run up some. Somebody brown thing with the banana and some. Watch anything.
Yeah.
Baling babaling. Baling babaling. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Link Bang, no matter if you're 50 or 10, Link Bang. Big bully in a pen, Link Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme, Link Bang. No matter if you're 50 or 10, Link Bang. Big bully in a pen, Link Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme. First, make you see how far your back bends. You don't know how. Get less of a current. Turn your body round like a smoothie or the blend. New dance trend. Style we no borrow, style we no lend. For sure, we know the big no friend. From in the thing far way back when for the elders and the children can't do the thing, they gonna do it like Charge. Back it up in the garage. Make them know we squad living large. Hold a salute every sarge. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Link Bang, no matter if you're 50 or 10, Link Bang. Big bully in a pen, Link Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme, Link Bang. No matter if you're 50 or 10, Link Bang. Big bully in a pen, Link Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme. We like when you shake it. Never gonna DR, we gonna fake it. Entire yam, heart and thick. Mama take 9 months to make it. Act like you didn't need to cake before you bake it. Take a pass to the girls and twerk it. Then your style you can't buy the new market. All of the style Link Bang surpass it, yo. But when you blaze it, I've got the timber like we don't chase it. Tell the DJ, rewind it, bust a sweat and work it. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Link Bang, no matter if you're 50 or 10, Link Bang. Big bully in a pen, Link Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme, Link Bang. No matter if you're 50 or 10, Link Bang. Big bully in a pen, Link Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme. From Maka Jungle all the way to Yara, Corozal and Dangrita. Check for my sister Julia, teaching the tourists the Kikaka. Through the alley and the plaza, go jump past 41 mile marker. If you want something extra, I want you that feel Libra talk. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style, them call the Link Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Disappear for a while, but when I'm back again, introducing a new style, them call the Ling Bang.
Bang. You. See why?
Why this love is not the singer? Yeah, no star. What am I with the battle? What are we in the war? We can do because of Kevlar. Rasta be ready to be champion. I mean, like Spatan, Rasta be rabbit, they know that just so we function. That's just one, I don't need conception. Rasta be moving like an army of one. Equal champion. I mean, like Spatan, Rasta be rabbit, they know that just so we function. That's a plan, I got the conception. Rasta be moving like an army of one. This year, 1 year, it's about a little Samira. One man in a solution. Two little root of Mario. So my fast, I keep good and I'm going
Here you go. Perseverance is the key. Perseverance is the key. What it is, what it is.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm telling you, man. See, you're gonna make it because you got intestinal fortitude. You don't give up at all. You
Thank
can't do
gosh,
that.
man, I send me to school.
Y'all are two girl. But the other day, you know, you make a leave work because you talk about you may chill, but you know what? Every musician go through that too, man. You know, because sometimes it get hard
The
to
frustration
sometimes, you know.
build up, man. It build up, and then sometimes you just have to make people know how you feel too. Sometimes you know good to make people know you go through
Agree,
everything.
baby. Because, yeah, because got people out there who care about you, and then people sometimes go talk to people. But you're right. I think they said that in the earlier episode that you always have to go to communicate. Because I'm aware, you know,
Right.
that's true. I agree with you upon that. I agree with you upon that. So we're going
Yeah,
everything,
man.
Everything,
Ari, you know, health and strength, give thanks, you know, for that. Must.
Yeah. You
How
want to
you?
highlight anybody before we get into this, or wait till we're done?
I could wait till I done.
Yeah, man, wait till
the
you're done,
people
man.
like
Wait
come
till you're
in.
done, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are start where we start, you know. All right, look. Me and the sis is like that's my sis too. I mean, some people like get to feel like where I be,
Listen.
We don't call it thing with the
I
one
don't know
shit
if
for
that's too
everybody,
long.
girl. No, girl, see that for all of we, girl. See that not for you at all. That's my little
I don't
sis,
know too long.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, possessive that the word when I look for. Yeah, everybody want, because I used to start with all of we sister, girl. What?
All of us
You
sister,
very
bread.
protective
I
also.
trust me
Yeah,
that we're a family.
At you, man. So, yeah, in the roundabout, so you never down to that. No, you feel bad that they miss it, but you know what she do. So, you know, she got to get on the plane
Yeah,
and
you
run.
know, she busybody, businesswoman.
Man, yeah. And then you have King where you have to deal with sometimes too. So, I don't know pressure, you know. But
Not
that's
a
my
weekend.
friend.
She got a promotion what she deal
Yeah,
with
all
over
kind of
so
things.
and you have to respect the
All kind
grind.
of things. I'm so proud of her, man. I think me and she are link up in the next couple of weeks because me and Team Big supposed to do something. So me and she are link up. You know what I
Some
mean?
good. I can't wait for you
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so now when we talk one very important issue that I'm gonna watch you, I'm gonna tell you concerning the as an art, make we go into the as a wanna be an artist, and then as far as say do the paperwork when we talk about. Like when you
Right.
need to go for register and thing that you learn along the way, that cars like remember Kung Soup make it out of hand, what I get some soup. You know the history with certain things when you look up right things will happen. So
People
what
going and remake your
yes,
song, remake your song and make money out
do
of
it
your
everything now.
music. Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah. So definitely people were interested for getting into the business. It is a money making business, but you have to have everything set up right. You know, get your name registered, get your business registered. If you have a record company, get that registered quick. So legality is not getting out of the way. And you know, people not take your name, people not take your style, people not take things like that, you know. Protect yourself and your talent. You know, make contact with all kind of people, business people. Not like the best thing, because at the end of the day, none of the people want to help push you out and thing when you need sponsorship or whatever. You know, always make sure the music consistent. Nothing you have one hit and stop there. You always have more work to do. With music, that always want consistency. You have to learn to always reinvent yourself. You have to always depend the outside music in order to blend and stay with what's happening now today, the current situations and stuff. I mean, music now a business, you know. For me, it started off as a hobby, as something where I use as an escape. Like most people, most people that say music, I need music.
True.
Whether you listen to it, play what instrument, sing, write poetry, whatever, paint, anything we do as a craft, that art, and you're therefore artist. So that register thing go for everybody across the board. Once you want deal with that type of stuff, you know, make sure that your stuff's copyrighted. You know, you're there with ASCAP or BMI or one of those international copyright labels where they, you know, they protect your music. They help stream, you know, you get to the streaming part and learn how the streaming business goes as well, because streaming, a lot of money there for make. A lot of money there for make off of streaming, but you have to have your people's, you know, you have to spend, you have to invest in yourself as an artist. And that basically it when it comes down to the line, you know, invest. And when you invest in yourself,
Yeah, you got it. I think so too. You got that one sacrifice almost. You have to live with sacrifice, got to sacrifice time, sacrifice money,
man.
especially for females. Females go through a lot in the sense that okay, you got to have the gear, the merchandise. You got to go there. You got to go up against all these competition.
For we face up with the pamphlet, because if they zoom in and they say any flaw, trust me when I hear about it, we have to have one of a kind outfit, because if we just like some in the crowd, you hear about. You know, and you know, females, like I say, like you say, it is more difficult. Like when I'm boy, like I watch them boy, just boy when I do a video, when I do it right now, dog.
Yeah, right away. Right away.
Change your shirt, put on a hat, and let's go. While we that we have to make sure the crease right, the edges tight, you know, everything right. So
it's true. Oh yeah, because that's what they're looking for out there. You can't come out there looking no kind of way, man, because the industry not accepted like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you got to portray one certain thing too. But it's natural for you anyway, because that's what you're about. That's what you're about, you know. Hey, I
had to learn. My first performance was for Dara. It was a Dara show. We were giving back, and I dressed Dara.
Cool.
The feeding program.
So
Dara, he's a big man.
Yeah, bless up, big up, big up.
He gave me the first performance probably in 2008. And you know, I'm a fresh on the scene as boss lady, because I'm on the scene before that, 1991, 1992, I had to sing fan then. Heavy D dressed me up, put me stage fan then days. So I have to give homage to my sister, because she create what you see today, right? You know, back in the days, I'm a way different. For a female, and it's still different know, right? But
Yeah, dig it,
yeah,
dig it.
that definitely one of the sacrifices and we have to deal with doing music, your
Yeah,
family, if you're
yeah,
not a single
family.
mom, you're Catholic,
Yeah,
because you don't want to live your baby alone, or you don't want to live from places, and you don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
make
dig
sure
it,
you deal with the
dig it.
business. People were going 9 to 5. Then people that suffer
Yeah,
too, like myself.
yeah,
We have to
yeah,
make sure we have time to put in at the
yeah,
studio, find the
yeah.
money to invest in our videos and things like
It
that.
takes a
Because
lot. It
sponsorship
takes
not
a lot.
about.
Yeah,
I got
it
my
takes a
sponsor,
lot. It takes
but
a lot. Yeah,
it
still.
helped now and again.
Yeah, yeah,
Magnum
still,
always
yeah,
helped me, but we
still,
need more
still.
support. We need
Yeah,
more
need more
support in
support
the
and more,
business
you more the
too.
music. I think once the music start to spin out, you'll be all right. Because for me, anyway, I see like back in the days with Heavy D, there wasn't that much female artists as there is now. There's a lot of female
No,
artists. Also, there's
no.
a lot of there young boy, a lot of groups and crews and people collaborate with people and trying to get the music thing. I see a lot more music thing. Is this attributed to shine or just a change in the talent? Because Belizean have always been talented, but they never was getting no shine. But now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm thinking like more and more. I'm hearing more and more. And the good and the bad, what I say, but still, I'm hearing it. So, what you think about the direction it's going in? And is it more? Is it than back then? Is it more out there now? You think, or just the same, or
I
what?
definitely feel like the music definitely evolved, and it songs within the era, because we used to be known as to sing old time, old school, or whatever. But
Yeah,
now we have the young artists, then they come up with a different flavor, and then they catch the
yeah,
new scene, the urban scene, and then we
yeah,
we still keep with culture,
yeah,
music, with Garifuna music, with brought down
yeah.
music,
Correct.
because
Yeah, correct.
those play big internationally. You see when the guys
Yeah,
got that
cultural. Yeah, cultural.
that
Yeah,
spin and they place and
yeah.
then
That's
people
smart.
love
Yeah,
it.
that's
They love
smart.
the
Yeah,
music,
yeah, yeah. Cause it's
right?
culture.
The
Yeah,
drummings and everything there.
yeah.
So
Of course. Yeah,
like I said, it is more expanded. We definitely to get out there more. We have people that get signed to international record labels. We have to big up,
yeah.
people
Of
like
course.
Stig,
Yeah,
people we
yeah.
actually
See, yeah,
make
yeah.
one
That's what I'm saying.
platform
Yeah, yeah,
for the
yeah,
artists there. And
yeah,
Shine is definitely one of those outlets that assisted with his productivity and thing. And we just need
yeah.
more people like Shine to start investing in a more artists. I mean, Shine can invest in a all away at the same
Yeah,
time.
correct.
We
We
can't
agree. Yeah, correct.
we
Correct,
can't
yeah,
expect
correct,
the
yeah,
man to do
yeah.
the
How the
impossible.
hell? But if you go get a little light to shine on it, it's gonna grow for them. Because sometimes you need at least sunshine. That's what
Oh
I'm saying.
man. People like Busta Rhymes, people like
Yeah, baby, that's what I'm saying. People are they're
Cal
opening up to other.
Shaman.
That's what you need. Yeah, it's not like I say. It's not like we was never that talented. It was that it wasn't no light shining or not.
It
You know
was
what I'm saying?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But
Exactly.
yeah, and
Exactly.
writers and them guys is cool. I love them guys. Who you collab with lately? Who you say you collaborate or who you want to collab with, like that?
Oh, for me, I definitely my number one who I want to collab with is Super G. He know that.
Yeah,
He
okay.
knows this. This has been
Respect
a
to the G
discussion.
dog, respect to the G dog, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
Super G,
I
yeah.
just recorded a song last night, me, Bastic. I don't know if you're familiar with Bastic. And
I heard about it, yeah.
this guy Sniper, who is a young artist. So I did between the old and the new. I did
Okay,
right after
cool,
Bastic,
cool.
and
Keep your
Bastic had
balance,
before
yeah, keep
me.
your balance.
Yeah, one nice dancehall thing,
Yeah.
just to try catch up with the scene, cause the soca scene soon come, but
Yeah,
I
that's
got
all right.
music
Yeah,
for
that,
that.
that was gonna be my next question. Yeah, which one is style you like the most? That's all. Just go. You have to be flexible in the game too, But
You
I'm saying,
gotta.
everybody got Wally think what they like, whether that or they lead think what they like. Which one that for you? Which one that for you?
For me, performing soca,
For real?
not much we say, just sing it. But while I'm on
Yeah, the
the stage and
party
I'm
process.
performing
Yeah,
soca, I
the whole
feel
gallantry about it. Yeah, the whole everything about it. Yeah.
the
Wow,
energy,
man.
the vibe,
Yeah,
the heightness,
yeah,
the
the
stories we'll
vibe. Yeah,
tell. Well, the dance, our man, the wine pie, yo. You know what I'm saying? I like
yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
It's hype. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. That's good to know. I got a couple of guys out here doing what you call it thing now? Yaba and all kind of thing. I try to let them loose. I try to go to different styles with Albelisha. Cause my whole objective is just to shine light too. Like I say, I could do the best I could. I can't really do more than what I could, but whatever little I could do, And when I know you're out there and you're serious, I'll do whatever in my power to back you and like, make sure the light gets
Amen.
shine.
And I personally appreciate it. Honestly.
Yeah, man, no worries, man.
Really
We're good,
do.
man. We'll come out anytime, man. No, make us another question, right?
Right.
Besides, we know Heavy D there, your idol, but besides Heavy D, what other female artists you would say, well, okay, you know what I mean? I like his style, or I like how he move, or whatever way. I mean, globally too, not only like
Oh,
from Belize, because people like to compare themselves with
yeah.
Belizeans. I mean, Belize included, but around the world.
I'll be real with you, right? I don't see competition here because I don't compete with my own. I want all of we make it. I have that kind of heart there. I know
No, I
it
just
might
mean to
seem
inspire you. I don't mean the competition aspect. I mean like inspiring, like to
right,
bring one another
but
along, to work with one another. So, like like
correct.
Jake, like your sister, she inspired
And
you.
that now, and that now a whole different topic. But who
Take it,
I
that's true,
like,
girl,
or
that's
who
true, girl, that's true, girl, that's true, that's
who I
true,
watch
that's
right
true,
now,
girl.
the Nadia Batson. She
Okay.
she's a soca artist, from Trinidad, and whew, man, she definitely got style, fire, and she
Okay.
write and she produce. She
Okay.
wrote that song for Manapi. Um, if you don't want me to go, something like that. I don't remember, but
Yeah,
it is
okay,
that one
okay,
song will bring back from Manapi from the dead. Like him did go down, and
okay. Yeah,
she
yeah,
sprung that
yeah.
kind of man on me up, and
Yeah,
then I
resurrect
say
the
she
man,
was
yeah,
one of people
resurrect the man,
lyrical and
yeah.
Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Sometimes that's all
definitely
you
like
need.
the soca scene.
Oh, okay, okay. That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. Let me see. What else I wanted to ask you? I want to ask you something about concerning, say, this $200 thing.
Ah,
Okay.
woo! I
Yeah,
don't
my man, I was
know. I
just,
had to
it was
tell
just,
you.
I don't know, cause I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing.
All well for say, right? See why all well for say when I sit down and make me walk over way.
No, I
That's all I
understand.
do.
I gotta fight for your rights. Yeah, I understand. I
We want to
understand.
stand up because that is some craziness,
Well, give me a
unnecessary
second.
hypeness. Instead I say, what? I said two successful show pop off. The people want to come out, the people embrace the Belizean music. Make we think about something to make more thing happen and get more artists on it. Make we start fun and leave fun. Make we start paying their people and people there. We start get out there. People that like their people music. Make we start investing in their people. You never invest in nobody here, right?
Mm,
You never
mm,
build nothing for we. All of we to fight from the ground up.
mm-hmm.
Kudos to those who got it man-made, have money, everybody in a team, the cameraman, this, that, and they want kudos. But for
Mm,
those like me, we not got that, we not got nothing. Or we have to find for we studio, find for we
mm,
studio time, find a good producer. When I want, make you
mm.
feel one way. You have to
Yeah,
find
dig it.
people who help
Yeah,
market the music. We have to find ways of merch. Come up with
yeah,
different mix so that we could have actually make funding.
yeah,
People like
yeah,
Unlimited and people inspire me because they are the man like they are throw a big barbecue, invite the artists then. They want big
yeah, yeah.
productive. Then begging government that one I can't
A
they
different thing or different level here, a different thing here. Sometimes
and
you have to
I'm not
be your own
political because
entrepreneur. Yeah, okay.
I don't want artists. I don't want
Yeah, dig
artists
it. Yeah, a
overall.
big
I'm not
difference. Yeah, a big,
political,
yeah, a big difference.
right? To
Yeah,
be honest, it told me not even vote
there's a big
because
difference. Yeah.
I about my business, and if you can't cater to somebody where have where I said a charisma and the youth they actually look up to them, and we could actually make a change in a society by just
Yeah,
being
dig it.
one artist
Yeah,
and showing
yeah,
them a craft and encourage them and being
yeah,
productive
yeah.
citizens in a society.
Yeah,
Man, you want to
blessings.
be
Yeah,
down
blessings.
to
Yeah,
something that
blessings.
we know to
Yeah,
make.
yeah, dig
Hey,
it. Come on, come on.
the
Yeah, I
problem
understand,
now,
man. I know, I hear you, man. Jesus Christ. But only need to make $200 though.
we
Marico,
if we charge 5 or 400,
yeah,
they
look
still
at
want to
me.
be down.
I'm being
They
quiet,
still want to
man.
be
I'm being
down.
quiet. I too, girl. I too, girl.
So, and then girl like me, we always got dancers or thing. I dress
Yeah,
my
it's got
dancers.
extra.
I pay my dancers.
That's
When I think I pay my dancers, with a breadcrumbs.
extra. That's extra.
Then
Really,
girl
what
got
color
it,
that?
girl got it, family, they got thing, deal things to deal
Not
with.
true, man. Not true, man. Not true. You
Where
have
you
to look
come
at the
from?
overall
Out of
picture, man.
Mississippi.
Yeah. You have to look on the overall picture and see the struggle. Look how the struggle is real, you know. The
There's the
struggle is
two big
real.
show and then they hype.
Yeah, dig, I think things are going. Yeah, I think things are going.
People
You know,
wanting to come
you know,
out. It's been 3 years.
That's true, girl. That's true, girl. Ali Wild. Ali Wild,
You
for
know,
true.
people have their money. Who never have money, trust me, they gonna get money for me going out. Because people
Yeah.
want to come out.
Yeah, that time.
You
Yeah,
know?
come on. So that's the reaction behind that.
That was
Not
the
gone on yet.
reaction. But
Yeah, not gone on yet. Yeah.
then they hype.
Yeah.
For nothing.
All right, make answer this question, right?
Uh-huh.
Because it's a question where anybody don't really understand too much. All right, look here. So got some people I noticed in well all over Belizean artists. They say, well, this one not play my this DJ not play my music and I want to play my music and I want to play my music and so right. But my thing, I used to fight them for one time too with concerning my music, other people's music too, right? But where I learn is this, right? So what you have to do as I don't know how to get to achieve it. I think the road one to depend one finally one put in there because they like Bujumina believes the other day, this one gonna believe, a lot of people gonna believe. So eventually who forget link up and get link up, right? But the DJ don't want play your tune until they hear the alien they play it on the moon. Cause the DJ, most DJ work. So for their job to play where the people want. So the people want to hear where they play on the radio where subliminal in their ears all the time. So I think that was kind of an odd thing for man when they really when they pop yet for the back to the DJ to play their thing. You have some DJ who want one or two things, but their job is to play where the crowd want. Where the crowd used to, where the crowd they hear on the radio, where the crowd are where they hear on this one. If you gonna say that DJ gonna start play your music or that one the music where the crowd no used to or something, and it's not in an environment where whether you're old or anything like that, the crowd will be like, so who that they want to know? You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that you're not talented. It just means that the DJ have a job. What do you think about that part of it, you know? How DJ not play
for me,
DJ music?
that may a big issue, like a couple years back.
Yes.
Right? But I'll be real, like most of the DJs now, especially these new ones, you know, they've been playing the Belizean music. And I think that's why a lot of the Belizean artists they get that feedback when they have that crowd. Like the whole crowd they actually sing the song.
Yes,
and that usually happens.
Yeah, that usually happen. They know the tune. Yeah, that's true.
So I know what, but you know, put nothing on the DJ, then you do a certain DJ where just refuse to play one Belizean song, and maybe they got their own thing going on.
Their
own agenda. I don't know how far they can get with that because I don't know Jamaica yet, or hear a Jamaican artist yet. Don't play one Jamaican artist. I mean one DJ, not play one Jamaican artist. So why you not play your own? Why you not play your own? In order for the people get used to it, you have to beat it in their head. Yo, get used to this one.
Yeah, that's the way I tell you. I tell you that. Yeah, that's the way I tell you. That's the way I tell you. That's the way it takes, you know. Yeah, that's the way I agree with that. That's the way I agree. I agree, but when you're not playing, they make it you like, but they don't like.
Yeah, I have to give respect to man, you know, people like Papa John and Solo Grim and everybody fan don't stop because when they get on stage and then they play one after their own, you know, that's the way things together.
Everybody the thing.
Watch out, the way when they feel it and they feed it to you.
The music kill it.
The breezy and then young boy will come up with the mad right now. Respect to the youth. You know, I mean, and I
want to say respect to Young Lion International, you know, cause my boy, the Charlie thing and try to
because
what, please,
why you life for life?
Look at, see what
they're mad. So, you think I'm gonna get my girls to them? You think I'm gonna get my wire light to them? Chip, way to believe, baby. Oh, big up the children.
Yes, big up to Malaya. No, all right. Before I make you go, check this out. So the plan a nice thing with Big Sis. You have something in the mixing with Big Sis. Something you know. You have to tell too much about it, but yeah, the next project.
I really want to talk about it without she, but she don't know.
I don't know.
I have to represent because that's something. We would sit on pan and leave it now. Like that song there, we record that fairly well now. And
Okay.
I'm gonna worry if you never me deal with it because I like it. I play it in my car all the time.
Yeah, dig it.
You know,
Yeah.
and when William Neal and certain people are like, yo, we could do something with this. And we have plannings, you know, the plannings coming up, you know, expect a video and stuff like that. Both from me and Heavy D. It's actually our first collab as sisters.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
She coming up as Lady Chalet. That used to be my stage name, Lady Chalet, back in 1991, 1992. And that she gave me that stage name, and she used to write my first set of music. You know, when I used to go in a some clash
Okay.
and everything, the clash gets
Yeah.
big man that the Russian and a ballet. I had
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
10-year old Lady Chalet, you know,
Yeah.
a little mini skirt and a little half the
Yeah.
shoulder, you know,
Yeah.
lipstick.
Yeah.
Heavy D do that.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's well overdue. Well
Yeah.
overdue, and the people there, when I hype up the
Yeah.
people so
You could see
cruel.
that you and she though. You do the same thing and the same mannerism and so you got the same thing, girl. You could see, girl, you say that for real.
Hey
Love
man,
you a lot,
she
man. I'm
that
proud of
man.
she too, man. For real.
I learned from she. I learned from she. She teach me
Mm-hmm.
take over the stage, own it, own where to
Aye.
go.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly,
you the
exactly,
boss.
exactly. Hey, before you go big up who you want big up and then touch on you something small for me and then we'll sign off, man.
Well, I definitely want to big up you. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
the
man. Thank you,
invitation. I
same way, my
appreciate it.
flying press. Thank you
I
so
could
much, man.
actually have
Thank you
my
so much.
voice, you know, on your
Yeah.
platform. And I mean, where to do for everybody, it's so amazing. And let's continue to do what you're doing. And I hope you get big and you'll get international one day.
Yes, man. Yes,
I want to
man.
big up definitely the father for having me here. I mean, an accident. So I could have never been there, but the
I
father not ready for
understand.
me.
Yeah,
Still got
exactly,
work to do.
exactly.
So give thanks to life. Give thanks to
Yeah.
my son, my mom, my big sister's name, my little sister, my niece, my nephew's name, my whole family, all
Yeah.
artists across the board, Belizean American, Belizean, whatever. Big up on yourself, no support, do continue inspire, continue push the works. I want to big up all the fans, because without to know, hey, Basile and nobody, continue following me, continue watching my stuff, continue sharing my stuff. Whenever I post new stuff, hey, just go and check it out. Cause when I have plenty ways. Come,
Yeah.
the second family is boss. That will be crazy.
All
Because
right.
I have a
All right.
statement to make. I have one statement to make. Because you know the music scene, people take it lightly because you're
That's
quiet.
true too. That's
So
true too. That's true. I agree with that 100%.
so they like say I look fighty, right? No, I'm not fight,
Yeah.
you know. I fling
No.
it down in my tune. You
I agree
understand?
100%. I agree 100%.
So
For
you
real,
want to look out
man.
for that too. Man, when you look on
Yeah.
a Belize, you need to end this video.
Yeah, then my boy try bring me G Michael want to come help out with something so I contemplate it hard and I might come and smoke it out and he try force me into it. I want to see. I want to see. I want to see.
Let's hope
No
so.
make no noise. No make
Let
no noise. One love. One love.
one love. Now who that?
Yeah, that smoke that. My general might take that. He the body move right now. Smoke.
Respect, General.
A while,
Yeah.
I hear nothing now.
I
While.
know. I know. Stranger, but not strangers.
Everything blessed up.
Everything blessed, man. I got life, you know, they are healthy and thing. My family straight, you know, give thanks. You good though?
Straight, man. So we try bust this thing off for everybody.
Don't say it, man. I really appreciate it, man. I feel good. I feel like a star.
Well,
Stop
remember you
playing.
have to
I
send in
can't big
the
up,
truth.
You
big
been
up
a
Oh,
star.
sorry.
the
Go
merch. Big up
ahead,
the
baby.
merch.
Oh, yeah, big up the merchants. Make them know,
Right?
yes. Big up the merchants. What? Big up the merchants. What?
Find the
Work
merch.
it. Yeah.
You there out already?
Right? Then at the platform when I could catch me pan.
Yeah, dig
You
it,
know,
dig
just
it,
type
dig
in
it.
Basile with the double S as
Yeah.
dollar sign.
Just send it in for me and I'm going to show it
And
every
then
week,
find
baby. You
me.
don't worry about nothing. Just send in the logo for me and show it every week. For real. Me and I talk
Alright,
like a
got
talk.
you. I got one
Every
shirt
time
for
I
you
come on,
too.
yeah, no worry yourself. When they come on, I just run there. No worry yourself. I got you up on that. For
Respect,
real.
man. Respect,
Yeah,
guys.
man. Bless up, man. Manners
One
and respect,
love
man. One
and
love,
God
baby.
bless.
Easy. God bless. You hear it smoking?
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. You all right?
Everything straight.
Everything straight, man. Everything straight. Manners and respect. So wicked. What? Is it? No yet, no yet, no yet. They are talk to the Diana. I'm gonna jam the thing, man thing all night last night when we going. When we going out here. I Brooklyn. I play the man, I play the Melly Key, I play the Nixon. Man got wicked and thing to me. Man got wicked and my thing name. But it's time to get a rhythm there, some of the more rhythm to the man name. Corona two thing there, Smokey.
Yeah, man.
You don't go away, but that's Corona two. Why? No retreat, no surrender. We want to give the people something to read. We don't want to trend. Be that trend. Definition after Rastafari. Rastafari is the people's champion. We rise from Rastafari. Maintain that just so we tell me.
Yeah, man, you don't know. Yes, sir, you don't know. 201. That's in the house of smoke. They got me like doing it, you know. Go ahead, have a fun. Trying to thing out. Right fun. The ladies, them. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, man, you don't know. Boom. Tell me, when you love me, do you really wanna be my lady? Cause I want you, and I need you, baby. Tell me, when you kiss me, do you really wanna be my lady? Cause I want you, and I need you, baby. Tell me, when it's all said and done, little mama, stop playing, girl, you number one. The only girl for me, you my rider, you my soldier. Just for you, girl, I put the world on my shoulders. Your mama didn't approve, you stayed in the game. You want a real nigga, was tired of the lanes. Now you're hard guard like LeBron James. The highs and lows and the blame game. We can do this together. Make it through any storm. Your future is a focus. Make your life a purpose. You mean everything to me in this world, girl. You should know this. Tell me when you hug me, do you really wanna be my lady? Cause I want you and I need you, baby. Tell me when you kiss me, do you really wanna be my lady? Cause I want you and I need you, baby. Tell me. Draining my energy, but we gotta just walk in the heavens, as amongst the gods, present to the mighty. I am my hip, thoughts and devotion. The woman with a rise and emotion. Start a war with any damnation. It's a secret of gravitation.
What I make you do, tell you.
all over the world. Like you. Simon.
What?
So I telling a whole through this time and the weather. We bring them in from east, west, north, south.
You tell them you know yourself for good.
Don't know that already.
They don't know that already. They don't know that already.
Take yourself.
Respect.
Who don't know I feel.
I think they leave Van Grain. I think they leave Van Grain today. I think. But I don't look for another man. Respect to Francis. Respect to Chuck. Respect to yo, my wife. I don't know. Everybody out there, bliss up.
So Jules, the work on Lee thing today, right?
Who?
Jules.
Jules?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jules, they do only thing today. Yeah, do. She has to do the thing, man. Respect you to she too all the time. I love her like Emily, yeah. Gloria, yeah. Gwenda, Vanessa, yeah. Susan, yeah. Chuck. Denise, so that I think, yeah, Chuck. I love that. Everything still. Grace, Cheryl, Steph. Huh?
Who knows?
And then sooner with Kenny Dread right now. See your thing. I don't know, play because we're going to see there again. Body Brown inside of Arlington, yeah. If what? Dig it.
Big up all the name, Marcus.
What?
I said big up all the that.
Big up, you say?
Mr. Marcus.
Yeah, Dan Marcus, yeah, big up Dan Marcus, big up Butch, big up Franz, big up Norman, big up Mr. Leonard, big up everybody. You checking in on me?
Come on.
If you no fit, then no force it. Stop to put your cap where you can't reach it. I'll say the bad man, but you never did squeeze it. What? How can I do things happening now? I got somebody we have to talk about some reconstruction of the deconstruction because they play to say a joke thing we have about it. Hey. What? Yeah. If you no fit, then no force it. Stop to put your cap, can't reach it. Burberry, and no meaning. That bad man never did squeeze. I look at the merch, man. I look at the merch at the park. I don't come out of the park unless I can bring merch. No merch on that.
Bring out the
merch. I don't know where everybody is. Some of them wear out the late area again. Up at the park regular. You got brand new merch. The regular merch. What tell you about the Smoky Down edition? They were bad, clean. That's what the pencil and the thing at the back of the brewery. Where is it? Yeah, man, you're there the park, man. You're there the park, man.
When the park?
Easy one, you're there the park.
When I park?
What?
When I park?
The park start when? The 5th, right? What you gonna get? The park, when the 5th? Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Tomorrow 110 degrees.
You know, shit. What we want? Sure. For the Maras. They buy us. That we get the cutlass and chop off them locks. We've been here. We've done that. We will be around. Then okay. In the next 2 weeks when I set up, brother, I'm proper.
I know. I know you're like, you're lit.
You want to just lean back and check remote. Sing out. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, when the really pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire.
Right.
Well, we're gonna.
I don't know. I see what we're going on.
Did it right now. Bring back the right now.
Are you interrupting?
I know you're good, man.
Are you interrupting the thing? You interrupting the thing, man.
I said, Smokey the Diner, Studio One, #1.
Back to the original. Watch out.
I believe that must be the look poverty because we like to live. When it comes to earthquake like Jackie, general about, really forget no forget. Aggressive, attentive, innovative. Black people representative. We want to just lean back and check remote. Sing out. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, in the time, really pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, in the time, really pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, blind lead the blind. Prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time when Satan give billions and call it white collar crime. Run it with the penny, but you cannot find a dime. One more round when the them coke and wine. Then they try this time on time. So it's not from behind and free to the eye when they bind the twine. Cause them see on decline. Moral fabric of society on decline. Ecosystem on decline. Them could have started all day. One thing they can't find. And that's a peace of mind. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, in the time, really pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, in the time, really pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, them boy the move savage. The poor people need 10 more stimulus package. So all them food, but don't cause all the damage. Boom, case I don't find nothing in the wreckage. Big cigar, hunting cottage, white with the globe check. Horse and carriage, look like they want with the start eat all the garbage. Mustard, red dot, melon face, bust like cabbage. Wake up, smelling raw sewage. Thanks to stomach to digest all the carnage. Poor people have gained no leverage, so them left with the whole is thinking luggage. Them boys want to get the message. Read the Bible, but mix certain passages. Collins, pop to cartilage. Can them like once again. Collins. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, in the time, pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, the youth and they kill one another. Right now, in the time, pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, blind lead the blind. Prophecies fulfilled. Sign of the time when Satan give billions and call it white collar crime. Run it with the penny, but they cannot find a dime. All around under them coke and wine. Then they try this time on time. Show them it's not the wrong behind. And free to the eye when they bind the twine. Out of the economy on the line. Moral fabric of society on the line. Ecosystem on the line. Them could have started all day one thing they can't find. that beat of mine. Right now in the time for the pray to the Father right now. Billy's under fire right now. Right now, right now, right now. The youth and lifting one another right now in the time for the pray to the Father right now. Spread the news to your brother right now, right now, right now. Well, alright then. Baling, baling. Yeah. Baling, baling. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style they call the Ling Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Disappear for a while, but now I am back again, introducing a new style they call the Ling Bang. I am a musical saint, violating the charts again. Ling Bang, no matter if you're 50 or 10, Ling Bang. Big bully in a pen, Ling Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme, Ling Bang, no matter if you're 50 or 10, Ling Bang. Big bully in a pen, Ling Bang. Rooster or hen, this one, yeah. Creme de la creme. First, make me say off.
Yeah. You know, around the time when we do the musical explosion, so our artists we know artists, everybody just sing the thing because we are playing for real, you know, we play everything. You're going to say in time for me to play everything. So yeah. Check, remember, Shana telling anything to me. If they are to try to get the thing in right now, I'll do the talk, but Smoke can't get a call. Like I said, we're in a transition right now. So everybody just be patient with me, you know, because I'll get the thing lined up in the next 2-3 weeks, everything should line up. The level where we could just like run there, because we have to run there, you know what I mean? We're not interim, no watch nothing. It's good. I'm big up to All 41 Matthew. I'm big up to Buddy Brown and Luciano thing saying we don't have Placianza. We're having a minute or so, you know what I mean? And big up to them boy, they're Arlington directly, I think, the photo or something. All the DJ, like I say, yo, respect. Where is the Smoke? Yeah.
What a mercy. I'm feeding a song by a peanut butter sandwich with instead of little feet. This technique to come all the way from out of the blaze and jungle. When I get my teachings from the monks out of the Mayan temple. Them say CY, humble, gentle and respectful. But if I hear that, then we have to move on the doubles. The things to blink, I like the Bermuda triangle. We know the trickle. Oh. Taga tackle. That is time we use when we model. Taga tackle. Muscle kung fu hard your main settle. Taga tackle. We make chunky monster drink snapple. And if your hair snap up on the crackle, alright, skitty, taga tackle. We don't come to the dance in see trouble. We come for hear them boy bubble. You know me pocket, big fat bungle. Me and me girl with the model. It's cool, start to act simple. Well, everybody, boy, wanna rumble. Make a wrong turn, take a wrong angle. Face to face with the tiger tackle. Well, see how they fool the timber. They know him brains that get stumbled. We no play when we buck up the devil grave. And he work, must lose him shovel. Tiger tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Taga tackle. Muscle kung fu hard your main settle. Taga tackle. We make drunken monster drink snapple. And if you
Ricky, Michelle. But I'm not level yet, though. Professional thing is please. Just to watch this movie, just to watch this. You know it. Well, really good, Ricky. You have the Steven TV, the Herbalist TV. I mean, Mr. Leonard TV. wicked, good eye, that's about my dinner, Mr. King, good eye. That's how I take to the directly.
Big up, big up the Blazing Party Band.
Big up the Blazing Party Band all day. We have been in New York directly. We never think that it's planned the stages. Everything that the stages and try, yeah. Yo, big up the Blazing Party Band. Wicked. Rhythm na rhythm. Oh, joke. Big up all my baby out in the Florida and thing. What?
When I know realize that album and be so freaking hot, my boy. Now I can't handle it, dang.
Yeah, I'm frightened. I'm frightened. I work wrong there. We know what's that. We work wrong there.
You had
I work wrong there. I work wrong there.
Trying to stay about light.
Why?
Boy, Ricky, what's up? Official, crucial. What?
Kind of stuff.
Big up Paper Mill.
You say pull up?
Big up Paper Mill Production.
Big up Paper Mill Production. What you talk about, brother? Easy one. Easy. Wicked. For them, that gangster.
Getting this money. Trying to stay, trying to stay about light. About the spotlight. The club. All that kind of stuff, man. Trying to hide. Trying to, it's all fake. Understand what I'm saying? This life, this game, there ain't no love in it. They don't love you back. They don't love you back.
My love is your love. Speak softly, love, until I hold you till you die.
I ring bell. Bling bling, it's green. Don't necessarily need to be seen, but I do need to be heard. In my brains, I've accumulated mucho verb. I'm taking herds to the third curve. Tentacles reaching up into the suburbs. 10 o'clock, you know where a child is got out of the room all black. Vibing on bass lines, courtesy of our black. Stack chips in the middle glass. Can't see me dead.
Then you back on check.
Don't need to recount the votes. I'm here to destroy all your hopes, dreams, aspirations. It's like poetry with musical inclination. I see you peripherally. Breathe easily. Step lightly like on eggshells. Or see real shell. I rebel.
Then your cousin your back.
What?
Your cousin,
Who?
right man.
I don't see the man yet.
Man say if you get the practice together yet.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Smoke, I look to knock it off and smoke. You dig? Like my sister would have said, respect to all my I'm a family, all my ancestors and things. You know what I mean? I miss out to them, man. You see what I miss them. So yeah, one love. Smokey D.
Yo.
Bliss, everybody bliss.
Yeah, man. Marcus, I said, pick up yourself.
Yeah, Marcus respect. Smokey say respect. Can he say tell Smokey respect? So no what's nothing.
Yeah, man.
All right, bliss.
Tell Dale